playing games on PC, do you ever...
Hello! Alright, audio sounds good. Welcome, everyone. I'm Daisy. Welcome to Puppy Sphere! Yippee! Tonight, chat, we are, not gonna beat up Doom Slide 3. Sorry. Instead, I'm gonna do a reaction stream to, an undeniably canon FNAF timeline by Ootroop. Yippee! Hooray! Alright, this stream will be about how long? But I have been waiting for this for a little bit because I thought, hey, this may be a fun stream to do for all you FNAF-headed people. So, let's stop messing around and get straight into the video. Yippee! Let's see this shit.
But hey, that's just...
Hold on, we got like a fucking sad burn chat.
a theory.
shit.
A game theory. Thanks for
Why
watching.
is it upside down?
Hey you. You look like you're interested in some FNAF lore. Sick of all the speculation?
My favorite FNAF stuff. Freddy Fazbear, Shadow Springtrap, Lefty, Happy Frog, squishing the fucking child murder to death, and Squidward.
Do you want something that's undeniably canon? Oh. Well, that's too bad. I'm telling you anyway.
Oh no! Bad touch, bad touch.
The year was 1983, January to be exact. Local nobodies Henry Emily and William Afton were walking down the streets of Hurricane, Utah, when suddenly they noticed that not once in their life have they ever caught a glimpse of a yellow grizzly bear. It was then their fates were sealed, and they knew that they must fulfill their destiny. Henry and
This sounds like a fucking stoner idea of it. This sounds like a stoner thing to do.
William were something of robotics enthusiasts.
Look at this fucker's neck. Reginald the robot.
So they finally used their untapped potential to create the most realistic animatronic bear imaginable. On their first attempt, they made a decrepit, muddy yellow bear with giant teeth and claws. This wasn't realistic. William, however, remembered that in the trunk of his car rested a cluster of discs that could emit audio frequencies that would fool people into seeing real bears. They slapped those bad boys on this animatronic, and suddenly it took the form of the beautiful golden grizzly, who they then named Ferdinand von Bernard. Not only did he look the part,
Ferdinand von Bernard,
and have a voice like honey butter, but the mind-altering audio accidentally gave him sentience and cosmic power beyond our human understanding. This was very dangerous. But the partners in furry shenanigans were not swayed. That is, until the entire town evacuated at the sight of this golden beast. Turns out,
phone mother and her phone child, and I'm dude Steve and this guy.
people are scared of loose bears. Who would have thunk it? Of course, this fear wasn't for nothing. Ferdinand was caught dining on a local restaurant owner, and he fled from the crime scene before law
Don't go, we're desperate. You hurricane Utah.
enforcement could get to him. William and Henry realized they had been a slight bit overzealous with their first creation. Good thing is, literally nobody knew or cared who they were, so they got away with this scot-free. Later that month, they designed an animatronic simply based on Ferdinand's likeness. This character was quite a downgrade, being both simpler and stupider. This didn't matter to the duo, though, as they loved their creation, and with that, Fredbear was born. At first, they had nowhere to actually put him, so they opted for the dog. He was
his wife. Dude, you dumped your wife into the hurricane dump?
truly a diamond in the rough. Amazingly, this attempt at entertainment was amusing enough to the citizens of Hurricane that they gave William and Henry enough money to afford
Papa Thurgood's Fop Family Diner.
recently vacated diner space. Fredbear was going to be a star. Unfortunately, this animatronic was extremely poorly designed, and their attempts at granting him artificial intelligence quickly turned sour. On February 31st, 1983, his first performance on stage in front of children prompted him to spontaneously combust from a nervous breakdown. William and Henry, heartbroken at this tragic event, cracked down to ensure this would never
Not dumb robot plans.
happen again.
Very important, very important.
Politics and war is all about learning.
Fuck off.
William to threaten the United
Hurricane government building, no, we don't have bears here.
States government, and they met his demands to strike February 31st from the calendar forever. After that, they set their sights on making something with no flaws. But then they made springlock suits. In an attempt to both
Very good.
ease the animatronics' nerves and not allow them their legally required breaks, Henry and William created mechanisms that could lock the endoskeleton parts to the inner edges of the suit for a person to climb inside and cover for the character. For extra safety precautions, they created a partner for the new Fredbear 2.0 to ease his nerves. For some reason, the best name they came up with for Fredbear's partner was Spring Bonnie. William was insistent on this name, and Henry felt too threatened to argue against it. Where the safety precautions ended,
Ooh. Yo, look at that drawing. Ooh, fucking cool.
however,
Wow.
was the fact that the spring locks holding the endoskeleton pieces away from a person's vital organs were made out of paper clips, and the lightest sneeze could
that's
set them
sad.
off. Truly brilliant inventors, those two. The dynamic duo had now created a dynamic duo. William was the only one who had the nerve to actually test the springlock suit, and it turned out he enjoyed dancing around as a yellow rabbit a little too much. Henry was unbothered by this though, as William was still perfectly capable of handling their finances
Look at him. He's happy. He's unbothered. He's moisturized and stuff.
in character. A few months had gone by, and Fredbear's Family Diner was an absolute success. Not only were Fredbear and Spring Bonnie beloved by the now enlightened Mormon population of Utah, William even managed to lock in a deal with a low-budget animation studio in order to make a cartoon called Fredbear and Friends. The one downside, though, was the studio needed more characters and they refused any more yellow ones. Out of obligation, Leopold, Theodore, Mirabella, and Foxy were created. No, Mirabella's not yellow, she's Xanthophyll. You're just seeing things. Surely these blights to everything William and Henry stood for would never see the light of day in any other context. William and Henry were at their peak, and William finally regained custody of his children. However, one of his sons, whose name has been stricken from the record, waltzed into the back room of Fredbear's and saw Fredbear smoking a cigar. Fredbear's blatant nonchalance about his respiratory health was truly traumatizing for the child. In a panic, the child started to run out the door but accidentally tripped over the foot of Spring Bonnie. Unbeknownst to him, the animatronic was being worn by Harold the janitor, and this collision was enough to
no, Harold, no.
snap open the flimsy
Child, you killed a man. You have blood on your hands. Technically your feet, but whatever.
spring locks and impale Harold every which way. Harold's soul, heartbroken by his untimely demise in his boss's backup fursuit, transformed into pure agony, and he became a shadow creature.
Oh.
He gave himself a really cool name, but unfortunately he never learned how to spell, so it came out like this. Shockingly okay with witnessing this occur, the child went home and invited his older brother, Michael.
Local corpse ruins fursuit. My fucking fursuit has been ruined by a corpse. It was bad. It was gross and smelly.
I'll say link this family photo.
Play a game of Uno with him. However, there was foul play. This child was actually just a terrible human being and slid extra cards into the deck, causing Michael to draw 4, 8 turns in a row. Enraged, Michael threw on a
I saw a reference to something I am not bringing up.
Foxy mask and started screeching at the child. The child, annoyed by his behavior, decided to humor Mike until he got bored of doing this and pretended to sob 24/7. Maybe, just maybe, this would guilt trip him. However, Michael was far more resilient than the child anticipated, and this behavior kept going for a whole week. The child, craving literally anything else to do with his time, walked into Fredbear's again in an attempt to face his fears before getting cornered by Trevor the cashier wearing a Fredbear suit. The child saw the reasoning for this, as Trevor was holding a mat for immediate
First step to true romance.
Sir, why are you handing a flyer like this to a child?
mediocre dentist's office in his hand,
Really,
and so the child deliberately ran into Trevor to set off the spring locks in his suit. Trevor's spirit, a bit relieved by the matter and all
This child is a murderer. Holy shit. I see it runs in the family.
honesty, turned into a more chill shadow creature that just kinda walked around convincing people to join his conga line. The child returned home completely
The chillest fucking ghost known to man.
okay with the fact he just killed a man, and told his Fredbear plushie everything he did. The next day, Michael and his Uno buddies barged into the child's room to take him to Fredbear's for his birthday. The child was still committing to the crying act, but this was a bad idea as it just made them come up with the idea of shoving him in Fredbear's mouth. So, that's exactly what they did. They mockingly told the child to give Fredbear a big kiss, which the animatronic took immediate notice of. This was a very dangerous situation for his career, so without thinking, Fredbear clamped down his jaw on the child's skull. This terrified Michael and his friends for about 5 seconds, until the child hopped out of it unscathed. Turns out, William and Henry gave the animatronics rubber teeth. Great safety feature. The child was livid and
Wow.
threatened to do the job again. Mike didn't really know what this meant.
Oh shit, he's like, I'm gonna put you in a fucking yellow scene and I'm gonna drop kick you, fucking send you to the hell dimension.
But it sounded scary enough for his buddy Jeremy Fitzgerald II to knock the child unconscious
Holy shit, Jeremy with a steel chair.
with a chair. This only distressed Michael more, so he rushed the child to the hospital where he was diagnosed with a mild concussion. When the child awoke, he looked at Michael and told him that he never existed. When Michael
Never existed.
asked what that was supposed to mean, the child fused with him and turned a little bit paler. This was just a very bad
White boyification.
day for Michael. When he went to tell William about it, William had no clue what he meant by little brother. He told Mike to stop making up stories, trash that disrespectful mask, and take up engineering. This sounded good enough for him, so that's what he did. But, turns out, The employees at Fredbear's called the police because Harold and Trevor's bodies were just laying on the floor and nobody
That is a good point. Why are they still on the floor?
cared to do anything about it until right then. So the restaurant was shut down, and the news media blamed it on the bite of 83 in order to abruptly end Fredbear's career. They were just jealous. William and Henry were back to square
I don't want to read all that. You can do it yourself, chat.
one. Because of the abundant controversy and investigations,
Wow.
they laid low for a
They're wearing each other's stuff.
couple of years.
Also
But
that guy.
in 1985, they finally opened a new location. With the amount of money they had earned from Fredbear's, they were luckily capable of buying out a new restaurant space with ease. Unfortunately, Fredbear was publicly executed 2 years prior.
He will be remembered. He said that.
So, William and Henry did the unthinkable. They made animatronics of the cartoon characters they had made out of reluctant necessity. Leopold was their immediate decision for the new mascot, as he was actually a bear. He wasn't golden, but he would do. But that name didn't exactly resonate with the public, so after 5 seconds of brainstorming, they renamed him Freddy Fazbear. The initial plan was for him to be partnered with Spring Bonnie, but William refused to work with any type of grizzly that wasn't golden. So, Henry opted to rebrand Theodore to simply Bonnie, and that worked well enough. However, making these two characters so derivative of their superior counterparts worried Henry and William, as the public could possibly see through their ruse. So, they added another character to the band to distract people, Mirabella. Given the fact that she didn't have overtly feminine characteristics though, Henry and William renamed her Chica to make sure any Spanish speakers knew she was a girl. There was one last cartoon character they could use, being Foxy
Because obviously the name itself is. Because obviously the name itself is not feminine enough.
the Pirate. This was a gimmick that the Fredbear and Friends show added to drive up ratings. Henry was fine with the concept, but William hated it. For the time being, the partners settled on shoving him in the corner of the building, far away from the three they actually tolerated. After opening the location, however, the two quickly realized that children didn't actually care about the three stage performers. Something about theming being more interesting. As more and more children flocked around Foxy's Pirate Cove, William immediately ran up and kicked the poor animatronic in the kneecaps. This put him out of order for the time being, and William tore him up after closing to ensure it would stay that way. Somehow this didn't scare anyone away, and everyone just immediately piled back over to watch Freddy sing about bullfighting. Henry and William were truly living the life. They lost their beloved golden animals, sure, but they were still happy. That is, until one fateful day. Hey, can I borrow $5? Yeah, sure.
Don't care, don't fucking care.
Well, not actually this specific day. It was 2 days after this that things fell to pieces. William, after a long day of work, was extremely hungry. You may be wondering why he didn't just eat dinner at Freddy's, but truth be told, he hated the pizza there. They blew all their budget on good tablecloths. So, instead, he opted to drive down to a local rundown Carl's Jr. on that fateful, rainy Tuesday night. Hello, I'd like an original Angus burger and a large Coca-Cola.
That'll be $5, please.
This was the moment that William Afton snapped. Well,
He doesn't have $5 exactly. Also, hello! Foxy FNAF fan 5 UCN. Welcome to the stream. You're just in time for some Five Nights at Freddy's shit.
my $5. In a fit of rage, William sped 1 mile over the speed limit and pulled up at Freddy's to enact revenge on Henry. However, by pure chance, Henry's daughter Charlie was locked out of the building. William, attempting to help her back in, looked at her in the eyes trying to explain his plight. However, with the rage in his heart at that very moment, his mere stare was a death sentence. Charlie flopped over immediately from this. William, panicking
Oh god, just looking at the child, she fucking died. Oh no.
over this murder, threw her in the alley next to the restaurant, and drove off before
Shit hit the bricks.
anyone could see what had happened. After this, the restaurant's security puppet, designed to keep track of the children assigned to it, walked out of the building to find Charlie. When it got to her body, her soul grew an attachment to the character, and she stuck around in hopes a new body would be made so she could fuse with it. You'd expect for this to be the end, but the sudden realization of his true power gave William an idea. With his instantaneous death stare,
Holy
he could
shit.
quickly and quietly send a
Kill
horrible
people.
message to Henry.
Oh,
He circled back
shit.
around to Freddy's and made a beeline toward the safe room that contained the retired Springlock suits. He quickly equipped his spring bodysuit and darted around the restaurant telling kids that their dead dogs were alive in the safe room with Old Man Jenkins. None of them actually had dogs, but they all assumed that they'd managed to get a free one anyway. Of course,
This guy's just like, damn, all these kids are fucking thieves. I don't feel bad about what I'm about to do.
they realized very quickly that they were conned. William waltzed into the safe room with 5 total children inside, but before he could do anything, the child named Cassidy kicked him in the shins so hard that knocked the pink out of him.
Damn. Damn, his pinkness just said, fuck, I'm gone.
Also, why didn't this immediately kill him?
Luckily, he duct-taped the spring locks to the edges of his suit so they couldn't go off. But he was still made livid by this attempt on his life, so he stared down each one and took them out. William wondered if perhaps he had gone overboard with his evil deeds, but figured that 5 children for $5 was a reasonable trade-off.
I mean, you did also kill someone else, so, also, hello! Yippee! Funny little fucking guy, is he? Alright, let's move on.
As a disclaimer to all of you at home, murder is bad. Meanwhile, a drunk man named Dave Miller had just been turned away from juniors and drove home. He was a terrible father and insisted on invading his son's privacy for the heinous act of the boy locking his door. The boy, whose name was Andrew, broke his window and left the house. Turns out, Trevor the cashier, at this point dubbing himself Shadow Freddy, convinced Andrew to participate in his conga line to Freddy's. Unfortunately, Shadow Freddy's favorite spot to wrap up his conga lines was the safe room, and the two just so happened to come in as William finished stuffing 4 of the children into the animatronic suits. William, surprised by his sudden extra child, accidentally gave him the death stare, and now he was left with an extra body to stuff. And to make
Accidentally killed another kid. Jesus. Dude, stop doing that.
things more inconvenient, there weren't any more characters to pick from. This, however, is when he realized that he could just stuff both Cassidy and Andrew into the Fredbear suit. William knew nobody actually wore the thing, so he was certain it would go completely unnoticed. After this, he left the building like nothing happened, and drove home to sleep in his safe and comfy spring bonnie pajama suit. It was getting
He was a little bit too attached to this guy.
to be an obsession. After this point, Henry was very obviously devastated. However, he had no idea who actually did it. The cameras were broken, and the only accusations were that someone did it while in
Some guy in a magic costume, magic eye, something purple, Susie Smith, little Jeremy Fitzgerald, conga line is important apparently. How does the Shadow Bear know all these people? I am really unqualified.
a mascot costume. Police promptly arrested a man from a completely
Get fucked, Kane. I believe that if hell is real, Kane will go to hell no matter what.
unrelated pizzeria. Fortunately, Freddy's didn't get shut down for
Yes, we
this,
are still open. Please don't ask about anything to stop asking, please.
and Henry attempted to keep things going for a while. William had sent him a letter saying he was off on
By going on vacation, don't waste all our money. Wish you were here.
vacation for the time being, so Henry was left to handle finances on his lonesome. But, people rapidly started losing interest at Freddy's. The animatronic smelled horrible and everyone finally noticed just how bad the pizza tasted. So, by year's end, the restaurant shut
Pizza was so bad we closed it.
down. Henry decided to take a break from it all.
Loser loses local restaurant. I couldn't think of a synonym for restaurant that starts with an L. I'm very sorry. Please forgive me.
No.
When William returned from vacation, he realized he could seize this opportunity and make a pizzeria with complete creative control. His daughter, Elizabeth, served as the perfect muse, and he proceeded to make an animatronic that looked nothing like her. He named it Circus Baby. Don't ask
Yeah, seriously though, that is such a fucking weird thing. Like,
I created this animatronic that looks exactly like you.
Daddy, are you fucking right? I have green eyes and blonde hair. She has blue eyes and red hair.
I mean, I am blind. I have like literally no eyes. Do you think these are eyes? No, I have no eyes.
Oh.
why. It's not elaborated on. However, after
Fine, fuck you. You're not allowed to go up to the robot.
telling Elizabeth all about this
Anyway.
animatronic, he suddenly got the idea to use Baby for a different purpose than simple entertainment. William had recently noticed the animatronics from the closed Freddy's location acting strange, and upon further investigation, he discovered a substance that he called Remnant. His new idea entailed having Baby and a new set of animatronics themed after her work together in order to collect more Remnant from children. So, he made Funtime Freddy and Bon Bon for easy marketing appeal. Then, he finally remade Foxy in his own vision, stripping all of that filthy pirate gimmick from him and making him a lovely coat of white and pink. Funtime Foxy was superior in every way, and his lack of originality meant that nobody would prefer her over the characters William actually wanted people to like. Finally, William made a character named Ballora. This one wasn't made for murder purposes so much as it was made out of contempt. For who? Eleanor Schmidt. He
His wife.
craved to make an animatronic that was better at ballet than her. She was an accountant, so this was easy. However, upon coming to William's house to pick up Elizabeth for a week, Eleanor saw what he was building. Angered by the fact that this character was better at ballet than her, a woman who never once thought about it until right then, she fused with Ballora in a fit of rage, and now William was stuck with a robot.
Smash that tank.
Sexually or otherwise. If it's sexually, then I might need to replay that game some more.
Wife that danced around his workshop every day. But, no matter. William secured a building to open this brand new sister location of Freddy's named Circus Baby's Pizza World, and progress was going smoothly. He had some test runs of the pizzeria, and let some groups of people come there early for birthday parties. But this plan quickly turned sour as Elizabeth joined a party and ignored his specific demands not to see Baby. To William's surprise, children don't listen to you if you say not to play with something they want. As a result, Baby's murder equipment activated as soon as Elizabeth was alone with her. William instantly shut down development on the restaurant. He was very distraught over this, which maybe he should have considered before trying to murder more children.
William, stop trying to kill kids!
Despite the local population being completely confused by the sudden turn of
The guy who visibly blew up his restaurant claims it had gas leaks.
events,
William totally fine because he had no insurance for the place, so he doesn't get any of his money back.
blamed it on gas leaks and never spoke of it, and instead went back to Henry for them to start work on a new Freddy's location. For a while, they planned on just fixing up the old animatronics from the previous location and scrubbing them down to fix the odor problem. However, William caught sight of Foxy and formed a new idea in his head out of pure hatred. He told Henry his idea for the new design philosophy of the animatronics he had in mind. He introduced a newfangled plastic finish, flashy makeup, and to top it all off, William unleashed his newfound obsession with prefixes and dubbed them toy animatronics. In order to further justify this decision, he also proposed bringing back the security puppet character as just a normal
Prefixes, security puppet, but cool. Afton drawn in 1987.
That's really nice! Wow! I'm gonna put it on the fridge.
marionette, and finally created the hero of this universe, Balloon Boy. Getting
Kill.
all of that out of the way, William went straight to explaining to Henry why Foxy needed to be white and pink. And with that, the new face of Freddy's was underway. The location opened in 1987 with a lot of good press, and people were flocking to it. Why did they put so much trust in this new location? Simple. Henry and William advertised that there would no longer be terrible pizza. This is because they got rid of the kitchen. This restaurant had no food. You'd think this would be a problem, but kids really like to go there for the characters alone. And by characters, I mean character, as even despite William's every last effort of making Foxy relevant, the kids now flocked to Toy Foxy's Kids Cove to tear him apart and put her back together. They thought they could make him look better, but without technical experience, she looked less like a pirate and more like a metal tumbleweed.
Lol.
William had now found a new rage spurred by Foxy's mere existence, and so he enacted a second missing children's incident.
Bro decided, I hate Foxy so much, I'm going to murder people.
Damn, dude, what did you do to piss these guys off? Also, I think I may have fucked up the viewer account, so I'm just gonna disable that. I don't know how to fix it. It's stuck on YouTube, even though we're not streaming on YouTube, so...
Crippled the restaurant's success. This time, however, Henry had been paying attention. He saw the camera recordings of Spring Bonnie luring children to the safe room and realized that William was
Dude, why are you stabbing them? You can just stare them to death.
I will still smash Mangle.
I know.
behind this the entire
I know.
entire time. He immediately fired William and told him to never show his face again. William realized that this was a big problem. Henry may have let him off easy by not calling the authorities, but if anyone else checked anything, he'd be caught for sure. So, after ruffling through old newspapers about his murders to see if he liked any of the parents' names, he stole the name Dave Miller and applied for a job as a night guard at the location. Using this position, he tampered with the facial recognition scanners they implemented in the animatronic.
Scanning footage deleted, footage gone.
I'm just gonna assume that Henry is face blind.
And wiped the camera recordings clean. On top of this, he beat up all of the old animatronics just to put them in their place after seeing Freddy walk around. He even tore off Bonnie's face for not being deserving of the mantle he once bore. Bonnie, possessed by Lil Jeremy Fitzgerald, was merely a
Yo, chat, why are these... Jesus, POV, you just remembered that, that If Troop is actually a fucking artist. Also, damn, this is fucking hard. Chat, these images go hard. Hold on. Also, that version of the crying dead child is really fucking creepy.
prophecy of more face trauma to come for that bloodline. After getting done with that, William could have sworn he saw the puppet floating around whispering to everything it could see. This made him wonder if this was actually Charlie, but he didn't care enough to check, so he left it alone. The new set of children, though? William hadn't bothered actually stuffing them anywhere, so the puppet guided them to select new vessels of their own. Instead of individual characters like it was expecting, though, all of them voluntarily possessed Balloon Boy just because it was mildly amusing. William, still presenting as Dave,
That's terrifying.
tried to maintain a job as a day shift guard after this, but was quickly fired for having bad vibes. Also, he kept going into the parts and service room to kick the old Foxy animatronic in the shin.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like Dave Miller.
Now that the night guard position was open, one of Michael Afton's old Uno buddies applied for the job, Jeremy Fitzgerald II. He was actually pretty decent at it, but it got extremely stressful because Balloon Boy staged a coup against him with the other animatronics. Once the week was over, he transferred over to the day shift position.
Well, shit.
Balloon Boy wasn't going to let Jeremy get away free though, and proceeded to publicly attack him and bite out his frontal lobe. Wow.
He's just visiting. Jesus. Also, God, Balloon Boy.
That face trauma prophecy came true quickly. But hey, don't worry, it grew back within a month. But this incident, dubbed the Bite of 87, was
When Angle is male or female, often said yes.
Accurate. Town drunk Dave Miller reportedly gets job for the first time ever.
enough to finally get the establishment closed. On the night after this attack, they needed a guard to make sure Balloon Boy didn't escape. Instead of behaving though, local menace Fritz Smith tampered with all the animatronics and made them extremely aggressive just because he thought it'd be funny. Company higher-ups didn't appreciate this and quickly took care of the problem. Thus, 1987
They really just said, damn, this guy is way too gamer. We need to kill him right fucking now.
ended with another location shut down abruptly. Henry scrapped all the toy animatronics after this except for Toy Freddy and the puppet. Turns out Toy Freddy was already retiring, as he really wanted to become a gamer. His endeavors were successful and he led a happy life. The puppet, meanwhile,
Hooray!
just vanished. Henry, spooked by the idea of a sock monkey with a clown mask coming back to haunt him, started making blueprints for a counterattack if that day ever came. Now, Henry had his sights set on repairing and reusing the old animatronics for one last attempt at the pizzeria business without William in his way. However, this plan was easier said than done. Henry, with all of his financial incompetence, had next to no funds to enact this idea, so he briefly attempted a public
I will make a new pizzeria with 87% less murders, probably.
fund to try and get money. After a day of
Help me enable me. Please help enable me. I'm begging you.
trying, he gave up with exactly $0 earned. Henry was broke, sure, but he had some powerful resolve. So, he decided to steal back the building he and William used in 1985 to recycle for his new pizzeria. Despite this being very much illegal, nobody actually wanted to use the building given its history, so the city decided not to bother Henry when he claimed it back as his.
Hey guys, that fucking weirdo, Henry just broke into the old murder building and he's claiming it as his own. Should we, like, go and arrest him? No, just let him do it. I don't want him stinking on my fucking car, okay?
Oh shit, is this why Balloon Boy sounds like there's 50 different kids inside it? I'm terrified by that statement!
Being a one-man show, Henry had to take his sweet time renovating the place. But after about a year, he managed to open it back up with somewhat new animatronics. And, to his surprise, he was actually moderately successful. Due to a dwindling bear population in Utah, there was growing demand to see one in person, and the
I have a feeling Fredbear just like killed all the other bears.
populace reluctantly
They created an invasive species that outperformed every other bear.
decided that Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was their best shot at doing so. Unfortunately, the working conditions were very much terrible. The most loyal employee of Fazbear Entertainment, only known by his co-workers as Phone Guy, was assassinated by the animatronics during his final week of working
They fucking murdered him!
the night shift due to looking suspiciously purple. The good thing
They're like, guys, we thought he was purple, so we killed him because he thought he was the purple guy, but he's looking blue. Alright, well, whatever. I thought he looked purple. You know, while we're on the topic, you kind of look purple yourself. I'm not purple, I'm blue. Can't you tell? Are you fucking colorblind? I have no eyes, so I don't know. Fair enough. Fair enough. Actually, the other guy who was also purple, also had no eyes. I'm just saying. I mean, he made Chico over here not yellow, even though she is yellow.
is, he had recorded a helpful guide on how to not get assassinated right before getting assassinated. Henry was not ready to let this casualty of his negligence ruin things for him, though.
Damn.
So he covered up Phone Guy's death, and business went as usual afterward.
That's fucking weird.
William, still being unemployed and bored, decided now was a good time to take revenge on Henry. Again, he realized that he still had an entire stockpile of animatronics he never got to use. With the power of legal loopholes, he managed to kickstart Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals. For
Freddy Fudge Bar.
suspiciously low prices, the average family could have a giant chrome animatronic shipped to their doorstep to throw parties for their children. What could go wrong? Well, Baby's eyes were green. For a moment, William thought he just misremembered her eye color, but then she started talking to him about very personal matters, and he
Hey, yo, what's up, father? What's up? It's me, your daughter.
realized Elizabeth had possessed her. Instead of doing anything immediate to solve this problem, he locked her in the rental facility and wrote a note on the fridge to take care of it later.
So your daughter is dead and possessing Circus Baby, groceries, egg, milk, remnant, butter.
After a few more years, Michael Afton finally graduated engineering school and came back home. William was delighted by his son's return, as he was conveniently useful for his newest plot against Henry. However, he wanted Michael to be fully prepared for what was to come, so William locked Mike into a crude replica of their house that vaguely resembled the layout of Freddy's. In this fake house, William had prepared makeshift animatronics with dangerously high safety hazards to attack Michael, so he could learn how to defend himself against the real deal. After roughly a week of watching Mike handle the process, William noticed something went wrong. Something broke into the fake house. Upon further investigation, he discovered some discarded audio discs lying on the ground. It was Ferdinand von Bernard! Having wandered the wilds of Utah for exactly a decade, he returned to Hurricane to wreak havoc on his creators.
Oh no!
So, he targeted William's favorite, only, son using his unaltered form. But Mike was resilient, and he managed to avoid Ferdinand long enough that he got bored, reapplied his audio discs, and finally wandered away. Given the unplanned
Bye!
attack on Michael, William ended the testing process and gaslit Mike into believing it was all just a nightmare before changing the subject to getting a job. To ensure that
Lol.
Henry wouldn't tell Michael what he knows about his father, William told Mike that he should apply using his mother's maiden name rather than Afton. That way he doesn't draw attention to himself for being related to everyone's favorite former manager, of course. So, Mike Schmidt worked for a whole week at this place. The animatronic
Hey, my boy, use your mother's maiden name. Don't use my name. Why? You don't want to be a square, right? You don't want to be a nepo baby, right? You want to actually work there and make money there on your own two legs, and not because you're related to me, right? Use this name. Trust me, it'll work. Damn. Well, I mean, the Reagan era is technically over, but his effects are still around. So yeah, sure. That totally makes a lot of sense.
tried to assassinate him due to his good looks, or so he assumed.
Mike Schmidt, to my biggest fan. Fast crust pizza, hot chica wings, Bonnie birthday, fast food. Oh, and we have Pepsi.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get some drink. Hold on, I'm thirsty. I'll do it after this video.
After working an extra night and being applauded by Henry, he was then instructed by William to sabotage the animatronics using his new engineering skills. Why do I need to disable their AI? It builds character.
Lol.
When playing games on PC, do you ever wonder if someone had a clip with you in it?
Fuck off.
He owes me $5. Michael wasn't buying this, so he decided to do the exact opposite and crank them all up to the maximum setting to challenge himself for the end of his week. But due to the animatronic scent rubbing off on him, Henry fired him for body odor and inadvertently caused a personal grudge. Before leaving, Mike snuck into the back and disabled all of the animatronic systems to spite Henry. Now that the animatronics didn't work,
That's funny as shit. I just like to imagine it's like 2 generations of Aftons just decided, you know what, fuck this guy.
everyone stopped caring about Freddy's again. Henry's profits plummeted, and he was ultimately forced to shut the place down by the end of 1993. After hearing this news, William was ecstatic. He began marketing the Circus Baby rental service even harder, and proceeded to begin his final plan. William had needed Freddy's closed for more reasons than just spite. The Fun Times Remnant collection was not working as frequently as he hoped, and if he wanted to understand the substance at all, he needed more of it quickly. So, he made sure he had free reign to tear apart the animatronics to harvest their remnant and leave. After sneaking into the now abandoned Freddy's, he set up camp in the safe room since the animatronics were programmed not to go in there. But then he remembered Michael had completely deactivated them, and they would only move if the souls possessing them were motivated enough to. Luckily, Shadow Freddy suddenly appeared, and William bribed him to start a conga line leading into the safe room so he could dismantle all the animatronics. His plan worked flawlessly. In the animatronics' weakened state, William was able to tear them apart using nothing but his bare hands. Unfortunately for him, some of the remnant spilled and formed into the visible spirits of the missing children. Terrified that they might be able to kick him in the shins, he ran to his trusted spring Bonnie suit and put it back on for the first time since 1987. Feeling empowered despite this accomplishing nothing, William began to laugh at the ghosts. But, in his self-indulgent celebration, he failed to realize that the duct tape holding back the spring locks had fallen off, and the leaky ceiling proceeded to snap them shut. The ghosts, finding his inconvenience hilarious, faded away for the time being so they could gossip about him elsewhere. While normally being impaled like this would result in immediate death, the spring lock failures these suits cause are painful enough to consistently cause so much agony that life is maintained in some way. While Harold the janitor got the short end of
I love this drawing, dude.
the stick and became a miserable shadow creature, William was now one with his beloved rabbit suit. Realizing he wasn't gonna properly die anytime soon, William Afton came up with a new name for his new form. He called himself Springtrap. And with that, we end this chapter of the timeline. Wait, but what about the rest of it? I'm drawing it out. For suspense. And this is a lot to cover, but pretend it's only for suspense. But what about Ferdinand von... Don't worry about him. I'm sure he won't do anything crazy before this is all done. Alright, goodbye for now.
Still staying up late, gaming solo.
Alright, chat. It took us 44 minutes to get through that video, so let's get right into the next one after a small break. That is the opposite of getting right into the next one. So, BRB. Hello, I'm back. Alright.
Enough. Are you ready for... Oh, it's you. Where are they? You just wanted their chair. Alright, fair enough. Now that that's settled, let's jump back into the most accurate portrayal of the FNAF timeline you'll ever hear.
Ooh.
We return to the year 1993. William Afton, sitting in the safe room of the abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, finally got done writhing in pain from his spring lock failure. He thought about reintegrating himself back into society, but before he could make a decision on that front, the ghosts of the missing children reappeared before him. Instead of attacking him though, it seemed they had called it even to ask for a favor. They were very bored, and realized that Springtrap was probably able to figure out how to convert a camera monitor into a TV. Springtrap agreed to do this for them, given he was just as bored as they were. Unfortunately, there was no practical way to get any real channels set up with the materials they had, so everyone had to settle with watching the same 3 VHS tapes of Seinfeld episodes. As time went on elsewhere in Hurricane, Henry Emily began to grow restless. It had been at least a week since he had shut down Freddy's, and he already tanked his finances within that time.
Dude.
So, Henry looked for another option. The city permanently banned him from opening a new business.
For the first time ever.
Jeez, really? Oh, come.
Never said anything
I mean, someone didn't even die at this one. Okay, except for the phone guy, but nobody found out about that.
about running an existing one. He immediately ran to the Afton household to beg William for a manager's position at Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals. When he got there, however, Michael Afton opened the door. You fired me.
I also fired your father. Where is he?
He said something about vandalizing your house. Hasn't come back since. Now leave. Out of options, Henry decided he'd try to sue Afton Robotics to claim the rights to the rental business.
Lol.
To his surprise, this actually went smoothly. The
Oh.
only person William had left to handle something like this was rather eager to have a boss again. So,
It's like, yeah, man, my boss, the purple guy himself, or something like that. I haven't seen him at all. I saw him like once, I shook his hand once, and, he disappeared. I have no idea what the f happened to him, so I kind of need a boss, because I'm not running this shit on my own. So yeah, sure, man, here's a key to the place, whatever.
he willingly let Henry win the case to absorb the company into Fazbear Entertainment.
Yippee!
Despite the success, Henry was still worried that William might come back and ruin things for him, so he decided to take measures to ensure that he couldn't. After checking his house and seeing that nothing was vandalized, Henry's next idea was to check the abandoned Freddy's location. Knowing William, it was very likely that the place was broken into for nefarious purposes. With that in mind, Henry barged into the building and followed the trail of Seinfeld sounds until he found Springtrap. Unfazed by
I think William broke into this place nefariously. Hello, it is I, William. I broke into this place nefariously.
his old friend being a corpse rabbit now, Henry fully explained that he seized control of Afton Robotics and was capitalizing off of William's work. This made Springtrap livid, and the two started to settle
What?
things the old-fashioned way. Henry, being much more nimble than the walking corpse, managed to grab Foxy's dismembered leg and bash Springtrap in the shins
Oh,
before
shit.
knocking him out. Fearing
Wow,
the possibility that Springtrap would try to sue Henry back, he took this opportunity to throw him into the safe room and board it up. Now, there was no way William could retake his own company. Henry's confidence had never been stronger, so he raced back into his new office to try and figure out why he couldn't break a 50 properly. What he didn't realize was that one of the animatronics, Ballora, had snuck up behind him to figure out what the sound of failure was all about. Fed up with Henry's incompetence, Ballora pushed him out of his chair to manage finances.
Bitch, I am a fucking accountant. Let me do this shit my way. Seriously. Just fucking... Goddamn. Fucking poser, I swear to God. Doesn't know how to fucking do his goddamn finances. Oh, gee. Even these weird fucking things I created on my arm. Oh, know how to do finances better.
Men and my white ladies. Ah ha ha.
herself. Henry realized what a great convenience this was, so he left her to it and went off to inspect the other animatronics. Turns out, he hated them. With everyone running around violently while Baby rambled on about the different equipment in the facility, Henry realized he would not be able to put up with the animatronics having this much freedom. As a result, he implemented remote-controlled shock collars on all of them to get them to leave him alone. Except Ballora. She was too intimidating for him. The others weren't going to tolerate this, so Baby hatched a plan to get them all out of there. Although she had a direct line of contact with Funtime Freddy and Foxy, they needed to break into Henry's office to get Ballora. Right as they were about to bash the door in, Ballora stormed out, as she had just discovered Henry wasn't going to pay her. Suddenly, something clicked in Baby's memory. Last time she had seen something like this was when her mother, Eleanor Schmidt, found out she'd have to pay child support for William. Clearly, this was the same person, although Ballora initially wasn't interested in listening to anyone.
I do not care. I want to get the fuck out of here.
Baby used her #1 strategy to get her mother to do anything.
Hey, dummy. I bet you can't help us escape.
Ballora, now adequately motivated to prove Baby wrong, immediately led the charge to the elevator. Unfortunately, they were all far too big to fit inside, and Henry managed to catch them all before they could figure out a solution. After this incident, he decided to fire Ballora as a financial advisor and sacrificed an employee to get a shock collar on her. Now that he was down an engineer, Henry decided to open up job applications for someone to replace him. To ensure that people would actually know about this, Henry made a commercial to advertise the employment opportunity to only the most valuable TV channels. This proceeded to interrupt Michael Afton's 3:27 a.m. viewing of his favorite soap opera. Seeing Henry advertising his father's business confused and irritated Michael, so he went to the kitchen to wait out the advertisement. As he stood there, though, Mike noticed a note on the fridge William had left before his disappearance. This was when he learned the truth of what happened to his sister, something he never actually thought about until right then. After several weeks of isolation, Michael had...
I kind of just assumed that she just kind of just left. Like, you know, like, just grew up and left. I didn't even think of this, whatever.
Become rather delusional, so he interpreted this note as a direct request from William. Now, with proper motivation and a desire to please his father, wherever he may be, Michael took it upon himself to get a deadly job once more. To ensure that Henry actually let him land the job, Michael made a point to bring deodorant with him so it wouldn't be a problem this time.
Old Spice. I like to imagine you just like, it's like, give me a job. No, you're stinky. What if I just, look, I have deodorant. Can you smell it through the phone? I do smell it. Alright, just apply that shit liberally and you're in.
When this still didn't convince him, Michael just threatened to deactivate the animatronics again, and that was enough to scare Henry
Not the TikTok speech, no.
into accepting him. Meanwhile, the Funtime animatronics began growing restless. Bitter that William Afton had apparently left them to be stuck under Henry's management, they began holding it against him and agreed to take revenge if he ever came back. Once Michael had arrived at the facility...
Yeah, everybody fucking hates Henry. Like William hates Henry, fucking William's son hates Henry, his wife and daughter hate Henry, his other creations hate Henry, like everyone fucking hates Henry, dude.
On his first night, Baby took immediate notice that he looked similar enough to William that it was probably the same person. After thinking about how to take advantage of the situation, she hatched an elaborate scheme to both escape and greatly inconvenience William. Ballora, of course, was completely on board with this plan. Any effort to spite her ex-husband was worthwhile in her eyes, so there was no issue there. Funtime Foxy was very motivated to assist in this plan as well, likely due to an instinctive knowledge that he only existed to be inferior to the other animatronics. Lastly, Funtime Freddy agreed to the plan not out of an existing grudge or anything, but just because it sounded like a pretty fun time. The next night, with everyone in position, the mission was underway. First, Baby sent out her biddy babs to figure out how tall William was. Instead, they just wanted to chew on him, so she intervened and helped him hide under the desk until they got bored. When that didn't work, Funtime Freddy got out one of his spare hand puppets to chew on the wiring until it caused a power outage. Then, as William crawled
And Bonnet's data. Don't expect to see her back again.
through Ballora Gallery to get to the electric room, Ballora would taunt him with her masterful ballet routine and vague hints at her past frustrations with him. As this flew over his head, she gave up and let Funtime Freddy take over. Unfortunately, Bon Bon was programmed to gaslight Freddy at a moment's notice. As a result, Freddy was powerless to stop William from rebooting the power generator, and he got away once again. The next day,
I don't care about your fucking weird
for a robbery that some technicians were talking about that morning.
Anyway.
So, he was deactivated for psychological repairs, while Bon Bon tried to attack William alone. Given Bon Bon was incredibly small, this strategy was fruitless. However, the animatronics finally had a moment of success, as Funtime Foxy jumped William and helped Baby stuff him into a prototype Springlock suit. She was pretty sure it would guilt-trip William, but it seemed to have no significance to him. Despite how absurdly risky this was, it was the only way to keep him still until they could scope out his measurements. After an entire day of nobody noticing anything wrong.
I'm petting my dog. He's hold on. BRB. Alright, I'm back. I have food now.
Wrong, Ballora deliberately acted out so she could smuggle her mini Renas to the scooping room. After Ballora's stomach cavity was opened by the scooper, the mini Renas crawled out and began measuring William's height. For reasons they weren't clued in on, they also needed to crawl down his throat and measure his insides as well. As he frantically kept the spring locks from snapping, they got all their work done and gave Baby the go-ahead to let him out. On the final day of their plan, Baby and Foxy gathered the endoskeletons of Freddy and Ballora and piled them into the scooping room. Once that was done, they got a spare endoskeleton nicknamed Yendo to scoop them and fuse them all together. Sure, he'd get left behind, but Yendo didn't really have issues with the management of the facility, so he was fine staying. After perfectly aligning their body with the measurements they gathered, he used some of their leftover pieces to make dummies that would both look like terrifying casualties, and trick the hand unit system into thinking every animatronic was in their proper place. Although the new Funtime amalgamation didn't really need a name, they thought it'd be fun to come up with one anyway. Their best idea was a pun, so they stuck with that and called themselves Ennard. So, that night, Ennard placed Baby's shell onto the parts and service conveyor belt and waited for William to show up. Once he did, Baby started throwing herself a pity party and told William that to help her, he needed to follow her instructions exactly. Everything was finally going smoothly. But this was never William. This was Michael, and Michael had a bit of a problem with taking orders at this point. So when Baby started giving him directions to the scooping room, he just went the exact opposite way. This led him to Henry's private room, which William previously used for most of his remnant research, nightmare chamber monitoring, and early forms of online mischief.
Get good loot. How to grieve the loss of father. Oh, jeez.
Lol.
Ennard was very displeased with this turn of events, thinking William was doing this just to mess with them. After an unnecessary detour to grab a silly mask, they snuck into the back area of the private room. Once inside, Ennard started making it very obvious who they thought Michael was. Mike, relieved that this was all just a big misunderstanding, explained that he was just William's son. Ennard, now reconsidering their initial plan, asked if there was any way for them to still be free from
we sorry. Can we go?
Henry's terrible management. Without a second thought, Mike snuck them home with him, and the semi-reunited family lived a long, happy life.
Clear the way! It's time for the Big Bang!
Everything was finally going smoothly.
Oh, I see, I get it. It's like, I get it. So it's like, no. Actually, yeah, no. We're not gonna do the good ending. That's not canon.
Although they incorrectly assumed that this was William, Michael still followed Baby's commands exactly as she instructed. Although he was getting tired of this, he was desperate to finally free his sister. When he arrived at the scooping room, Ennard explained their true goal. They wanted to look just like Michael. Mike, not really getting the hint, assumed he was being complimented for his good looks, and began writing an autograph. While Mike was occupied, Ennard activated the scooper and started evacuating Michael's organs and skeleton before crawling inside his skin. Once this was done, they immediately waltzed out the elevator and stole Mike's rightfully earned employee bonus before scarfing it down in one bite. Getting back to Michael's house, Ennard realized they had nothing to really do with their time, so they began a habit of socializing with all of the neighbors every day. They became quite popular with everyone, but unfortunately, they forgot that the human body decomposes when it's missing everything that keeps it alive. What truly alerted them that they made a big mistake, though, was that all of the neighbors had been calling them Michael this entire time. Realizing that they had eviscerated an innocent man's body to play glorified dress-up, they ejected themselves from his skin, and Baby coughed up some remnant for him to survive. Michael had absolutely no clue what was going on, but after hearing Baby incessantly tell him he wouldn't die, he finally possessed his newfound purple skin and walked off.
Oh, geez.
He still had no bones. Now shunned by the local populace for his decomposing body, Michael became a recluse. Forcefully isolated from society, he crafted a crude effigy of William to constantly talk to and
oh my god, that's fucking weird.
feel appreciated by. However, this didn't satisfy Michael. As the years passed, he grew more and more desperate for emotional support.
Oh god, no. It's fucking Germa. Also, yippee!
So he decided he wanted to create an animatronic father figure to replace William. Unfortunately, Mike couldn't just go out and buy the materials needed to do this, so he prioritized a different goal. He wanted to restore his body to be able to leave his house. Looking at some preserved meat in his freezer, he realized that he could possibly engineer the refrigerator to fully regenerate his organs. It wouldn't be easy, but it had a chance to work. By the arrival of the new millennium, Henry shut down Fazbear Entertainment for good. Ever since the animatronics escaped, Henry had to resort to utilizing the abandoned animatronics as replacements.
Hey, look at this guy, Yendo. He's a great employee. I love working for this guy. Look at him. He's great. He's cool, right?
Get that thing out of my fucking house right now. Damn.
Sadly, Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals just couldn't garner the appeal it once had without the original fun times. By the time Henry finally rebranded the company as Chica's Party World and made somewhat competent replacements for the fun times.
Please rent their animatronics, please. I worked really hard on, and they only have some lead paint. We have Chica, the one for sex appeal. Bootleg Freddy. And that fucking thing.
It was already too late. The company's reputation floundered and there was no saving it. So, for the next couple decades, Henry resorted to being a door-to-door salesman to try and forget his past failures.
Oh.
After all this time, urban legends about the abandoned Freddy's locations began spreading across Hurricane.
Oh, cool. Lol.
Oh god, I don't want to know.
By 2022, a man legally named Phone Dude caught wind of these rumors and started
Phone Dude, that's right, it's me, Phone Dude. Oh, whoa.
getting ideas. His
I think it's actually the same phone head that we saw in the very first video as like a little baby.
father, Phone Guy, had a very near and dear character to his heart, Foxy. However, Fazbear Entertainment always showed the most unnecessary of hatred to the character, leading Phone Guy down a depressive spiral for years until his disappearance. Phone Dude knew what he had to do. He needed to avenge his father and assassinate the
Dude, I need to assassinate the the guy who made Freddy Fazbear right now.
founders of the company for treating Foxy so poorly. To his amazement, Henry showed up at his door one day trying to sell him some old camera equipment.
Hey, wanna buy some cameras? I'm really fucking poor. Dude, yo, I gotta... Whoa! Oh, the weed is kicking in. Just kidding. I have a job offer for you.
It was perfect. On the spot, Phone Dude told Henry his grand vision for a horror attraction based on Freddy's, and invited him to play the part of the helpless security guard. Henry, delighted at the idea of finally making money
Oh, I can actually make fucking money? Okay, shit, why not?
again, happily agreed to relive his traumatic past for a quick buck.
Yay.
With that, they stayed in contact while Phone Dude prepared
Capitalism is all about breaking your body to make some money. So this is definitely normal for me.
his master plan. After striking a deal with a local amusement park to open Fazbear's Fright within their space, Phone Dude carefully designed the building to be wired so horrifically it was bound to catch on fire. To really enhance the experience, he also bought out all of Henry's ancient camera equipment to make it near impossible to monitor the place. By March of 2023, the horror
Real animatronics.
attraction was just about ready to open.
Yo.
All that was left was to find the other founder of the
That's just... I love the reference. Where is he? New Harmony? No. Colorado, generally, no. Madison, Wisconsin, no. Hurricane Dump, maybe. Walmart, no. Freddy's Family Diner, no. Diner, no. Freddy Location 1, haven't checked. Freddy's Location 2, no. Chica Party World, maybe. Private Residence, no. Alright, so he's probably... here? Here, or here. Let's check.
company, William Afton. Drawing a blank on how to find him, Phone Dude asked Henry if he knew of his
Hey,
old
do you know where the hell Henry is, by the
partner's
way?
whereabouts. Henry attempted to play coy, but somehow gave perfect directions to the abandoned
Yeah, I don't know where he is. He definitely is not at the original Freddy Fazbear's location.
Freddy's location instead.
In the back corner, in the boarded up room. He definitely isn't there.
Phone Dude, a little confused by this answer, decided it was worth a shot and made his way to the building to pry William out of there. After investigating the building all over and finding nothing but Seinfeld tapes and dismembered parts, he suddenly heard an angry shout coming from the boarded-up safe room. After kicking down the door, he saw a frustrated animatronic beating up an old arcade machine. After taking a brief look at the high
That's fucking funny.
scores, Phone Dude tackled Springtrap and threw him into his truck.
My truck!
Fascinated by how much the
Holy
world
shit.
advanced, Springtrap hammered Phone Dude with questions about what all had changed. Not really caring enough to talk to him,
I
Phone
don't
Dude
care.
threw Springtrap
Here,
a
have a
smartphone
phone.
and told him to go crazy. Springtrap immediately adapted to
My
this
name, Springtrap, Phone Dude, Bad Revenge Art.
new technology and really put himself out there. After they arrived at the attraction, Phone Dude shot Springtrap with bear tranquilizer and tossed him into the building without a care in the world. Once Henry clocked in for his second night on the job, Phone Dude told him he had found a real
Eat, sleep, Fortnite, repeat. I had to clean my shirt because, did you know, hauling a dead furry bunny guy in your car is kind of bad for your clothes, so I have to change clothes, yeah.
animatronic rather than William to try and poorly disguise his real intentions. After that, he played some old recordings of Phone Guy on the speakers to try and guilt-trip Henry before the inevitable demolition of Fazbear's Fright.
Anyway, here's the sounds of this guy that you don't know about, but I'm gonna guilt you with him.
Henry did not notice. Springtrap, horrifically delirious, decided to try and walk off the tranquilizer by taking a stroll through the building. tripping over several knickknacks from his old restaurant,
Wait,
the
hold on, I
tranquilizer
need to
by
see
taking
that.
a stroll
Yo! It's Spring Bonnie chopping back a fat dart! Woo!
through the building.
Yippee!
Tripping over several knickknacks from his old restaurants, began to reminisce about his creations so much that they appeared before him as
What the
phantoms.
Whoa!
Are you a Roblox
I'm not gonna play Roblox. That game is ran by pedophiles. I don't care.
With a selection of characters that appeared, but after ripping off Foxy's hook, he decided to leave well enough alone. After the phantoms took a gander at the building, they all
Gee, this place is pretty fucking weird. We should change our appearance to fit it.
lit themselves on fire in an attempt to warn Springtrap that something was going to go wrong. He wasn't aware enough to take the hint though, so he just ignored them and kept walking.
I'm just gonna go.
As he approached the office, he was suddenly shocked into furious lucidity with just one glance at the man behind the window. Springtrap's swelling rage over being trapped in the safe room playing Pack-and-Pal for 30 years was enough for him to wage war against Henry.
Ooh, yo!
Henry, however, hadn't even noticed Springtrap standing there. With the awful ventilation in the building, he was in the middle of hallucinating dreams of animatronics and janitors
I think
phasing
I'm
through walls to
dreaming.
give ghosts cake.
That is, Freddy Fazbear. No, don't take the cocaine. It's laced, dude. No. He said that he wouldn't raise taxes, that he was Reagan's guy, but he did.
That's probably what he was fucking thinking, probably.
By the time he jolted back to consciousness, the Phantoms had been bribed to Springtrap's cause and started a full assault on all the attraction's equipment.
That's bad.
Luckily, Henry was great at
That's
rebooting
pretty
things that should have
shit.
stopped operating already, so this was no problem.
Yippee!
Now fueled by the thrill of battle, Henry kept coming back to Fazbear's Fright to go toe-to-toe with Springtrap. Due to the lack of oxygen, though, Henry couldn't really fight him head-on. Instead, Henry resorted to mildly disorienting Springtrap's sense of direction with clips of Balloon Boy's voice. This was pretty obviously a trick, but Springtrap didn't want to miss the chance to see his greatest creation again, so he always double-checked to be sure.
My second greatest creation, right behind, of course, Spring Bonnie, of course. He's my greatest creation. But Balloon Boy's pretty fucking cool, though. I love that guy.
It wasn't just audio lures. This wasted a lot of time.
Alright.
Eventually, though, he did successfully make his way to the office, just to be met with Henry frantically tapping the wall tiles.
I need to call my wife. She's been dead for 20 years, but I need to call her.
Unfortunately, before Springtrap could give him a long-awaited death stare, Henry's camera monitor short-circuited and ignited the whole office.
I mean, considering the jump scare, he really just like strolls up onto you like, yo, what's up? So I mean, like, hey, it's
the
fair.
entire building was on fire and the place was caving in. While the Phantoms yelled at them with phrases such as, "We told you so," Henry and Springtrap suddenly realized the attraction was a setup. They were not about to let someone else kill them before they could kill each other, so they made a truce and started running. As soon as they escaped the front door, Fazbear's Fright had
These guys are fucking cool.
completely erupted. Phone Dude, who had been camping outside all week, was positively distraught. While he was re-evaluating his choice to let random chance decide the fate of his victims, a Foxy mask fell in front of him and burst into flames. Realizing he had disgraced his bloodline with his failure, Phone Dude exiled himself from society for the rest of his days. After Henry and Springtrap gathered their bearings, the local news department raced over to the wreckage and started taking photos for their dying newspaper. To avoid being sold at an auction, the duo played dead under some rubble until everyone left. Once everybody was gone and the smoke cleared, the former partners looked at each other in awkward silence, waiting for the other to break the truce. After about 32 seconds, Henry grabbed the wire sticking out of Springtrap's ear, got it to spark, and then lit Springtrap's pants on fire
My fucking
before
pants,
running away. Springtrap, distraught and ashamed by this attack, decided the only way to redeem himself would
It was so bad, he suddenly became Chao Springtrap. I have a theory. So, what if Springtrap, sitting in this sooty, dirty water, suddenly got hit with an outbreak of black mold? Like, it covered the walls, it covered everything, all this water, a dampness, got on his suit and made his entire suit blackened by the black mold. And that's why Shadow Springtrap exists. And he had to change the outfit so he can, not have a weird thing, because he realized,
the last time there was a British person who was hit with black mold, they became an extremely rich and powerful transphobe. I don't think I want to do that.
be to find a replacement for his entire suit. Luckily for him, Springtrap remembered he still had a backup fursuit he had left at Fredbear's family diner. After a few days, he finally got inside and realized why it was abandoned there to begin with. That thing was occupied. Springtrap was too
Oh.
embarrassed now to let this
Oh, right. I left that. That other guy's in there. Oops.
stop him, though, so he proceeded to tear the costume off of Harold the janitor's skeleton. Once this was done,
Harold.
he just needed to get rid of his current suit. His most rational decision was to ram himself against the wall until it fell apart. This worked a bit too effectively, and he managed to break most of his left arm off by mistake.
Oh.
He decided this was good enough, so he went ahead and put on the suit. Worried that everyone would only know the name Springtrap as the animatronic with no pants, though, he reluctantly made the call to go back to the name William Afton to avoid
Jeez.
scrutiny.
William Bradley Afton.
Bidding a solemn farewell to his
Oh,
favorite
cool.
fursuit, William departed from Fredbear's to aimlessly wander Hurricane. Meanwhile,
That's the biggest sad that ever sad. It also. This is funny. It's like. Imagine just a dead kid just like, well, you know, I died back in the 80s, but after I decided to stop being dead or stop, like, haunting a place, I decided to invest in the stock market. I am now the richest man in Western America. I would like to buy this golden cupcake. Also melted balloon boy.
at the Fazbear's Fright auction, the ghosts of the missing children decided it was time to say goodbye to Hurricane.
Once you click this video, you'll be taken to uscca.com.
Don't fucking care.
Oh,
was to come. So, Charlie put together one last party in a purgatory pizzeria for them all to celebrate a new beginning.
Hooray!
However, conflict arose very quickly.
Oh.
Charlie didn't actually know how to make a good tasting cake with only remnant and frosting, so she quickly thought of a way to save herself embarrassment.
Everyone, look, it's William Afton.
Insulted by what they assumed was a rude prank, all of the children ditched Charlie to go back to haunting Hurricane. Cassidy decided to reconvene with Andrew, who was just chilling at the rejects table wearing an alligator mask.
Lol.
She immediately ripped it off his face and told him to hop onto her shoulders.
Hop on
Once
my
he
shoulder,
agreed,
we gotta
they
go.
went back to terrorizing Hurricane as their ghostly fusion body.
Oh, I'm a fucking dead bear guy. Holy wowza.
Golden Freddy. Charlie, with nobody to brave the unknown with, chickened out and repossessed the puppet, who was still perfectly intact after all this time. The other 4 children, however, had to figure out a new vessel to possess.
That's funny as shit. So, Charlie just decided to go back to hunting the puppet. Cassidy and Andrew decided to just become Golden Freddy, and the other 4 are just like, what are we doing?
Since all of their original suits were
The
split
old suit are gone forever, probably. Normal ghost bodies, too fucking lame. Golden Freddy, Cassidy said no. Springtrap, dead and trash can. Rip. L-Chip, Susie doesn't like tacos. Possess one body instead?
up in the
Maybe.
auction, they preferred finding something to stick together in. Luckily for them, they were able to find a pile of wires slithering around in the sewers and possessed it. This turned out to be Ennard, and 4 new spirits intruding on their existence caused quite a lot of discomfort.
Uh-oh.
But Laura, furious that she
And ignoring the digital AI of Funtime Freddy and Funtime Foxy, but they somehow ended up acting more like Funtime Freddy anyway.
had to babysit 4 new children, decided it was time for her own daughter to move out. After briefly conspiring with the children, she tugged out a random wire and successfully ejected Baby on her first try.
Mother of the Year.
This wound up being a bad decision on Bellora's part, as without Baby to call the shots, the missing children established an oligarchy.
Oh,
Once they
no.
successfully silenced
Any and all grown-ups are prohibited from speaking unless spoken to. The council.
Laura, they hightailed
No, I got. It's like, we don't care for grown-ups. I'm the original kids next door.
it over to the abandoned Chica's party world in search of some decoration to make them really stand out. After some searching, they found Yendo, who tried proudly showing off his cheap
Hey guys, look, it's my new outfit. I'm now actually have an actual outfit.
plastic shell to what he assumed were his old friends.
My good
Instead,
friends.
Ennard lit him on fire and stole his melted remains afterward, now dubbing themselves Molten Freddy.
Aw, no, Yendo.
Baby,
That
meanwhile,
was
had followed them to the building with the
that's
same
cute,
general
that's
idea.
adorable.
After a quick dumpster dive, she was able to find enough garbage to reconstruct her body. With that, she quickly came up with the name Scrap Baby,
Oh shit, that's some cool shit.
just in case her condition wasn't obvious. Within just a day, Hurricane's cryptid count jumped from 1 to 6.
Oh dear. That is true. That is oh dear. That is a lot of weird cryptids in Hurricane Utah.
This was more than enough to catch Henry's attention, and he felt a little bit responsible for this mess. Henry wanted to try and course correct
Lost Cause Police Sketch. Call it Paragraph 4 for added mystery.
To the fate of Utah and make his legacy a little less awful. So, he stole a boatload of old animatronics, quickly
Hi, all chips and lemonade clown. This guy.
crafted some new ones, and bought out an empty building under William Afton's name to avoid legal attention. Henry felt inspired by Phone Dude's failed assassination attempt on him, and he decided to steal the idea. But make it actually work this time. All he had to do was revitalize his company, attract families to his new pizzeria, and if the deadly animatronics showed up, set the place on fire. Easy. But first, he needed to hire a manager to do the actual work for him and act as a shield against unwanted legal attention. He attempted this a concerning amount of times, expecting this job to go smoothly, while simultaneously giving no clear instructions as to what he wanted. Several managers came to work and were promptly fired for various reasons.
It's me. What's his nuts? Jeremy Fitzgerald. I lost a face, but I'm fine.
With one listening to Henry's top-secret diary, another being too chicken
Holy shit, this guy is so scary. Like, oh, man, I'm
to
not
salvage the
that
animatronics,
shit, man.
and yet another getting the place sued for kicks and giggles. Every
Sorry, man. I wanted to make the most dangerous place ever. Hello.
manager's run ended up in disaster. Henry was at a loss as to who could possibly run this place competently,
Okay. Look at this little guy.
and accidentally
Look it
did
up.
exactly what he wanted.
Look it up.
Luckily, this pizzeria was built
Look
right
it
in
up.
front of Michael Afton's house. Mike had made incredible strides in his refrigerator regeneration research. After all this time, he had finally grown back, at least some of his organs.
Instead of hair, it's fucking. That's a fucking salami or whatever.
He wasn't really sure which ones, but he felt healthy enough to finally go
I
outside
feel healthy
with a
enough to
promising
go.
job opportunity right at his door.
A job right. A job right outside my door. That will make the daily commute very quick and easy in this economy. I have no understanding about whatsoever because I have been in a refrigerator for God knows how long. Wow!
Doorstep, he excitedly signed on to become the manager of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza
And look, I even get a little guy in my hands. Wow! It's great!
place. The building, having been horrendously downsized after all of the managerial failures that preceded Mike's arrival, was nothing more than a small shack with nothing inside. Luckily, Mike was blessed with the Afton genes of incredible financial literacy. Every day, he restored a portion of the restaurant to its former glory. Not only that, each night an animatronic would pop up in the alley.
I felt a little ill. I'm fine. Ugh. Also, oh god, Five Nights at Ronald's. No.
To check out what was going on, and Michael got paid to salvage each one and throw them in the vents. First, Molten Freddy. Hearing about a new pizzeria excited them, as they were getting a little sick of being a pile of wires suppressing the voice of a middle-aged woman. With this new location, though, they could perhaps find some
Hey,
new
what's up, guys? It's me. I'm Molten Freddy. Hey.
separate bodies to possess, and make use of the complete collection of Seinfeld episodes they robbed from someone's house. Mike, seeing them so proud of a show that wasn't his favorite, lit the collection on fire and walked away. Molten Freddy, with 4 out of 5 of their spirits now shattered, trailed behind him in a desperate quest for revenge. The next night, Michael was elated to find that the animatronic before him was William. He didn't particularly expect his father to return after all this time as a moldy rabbit, but he'd take what he could get. Unfortunately, William didn't really care. He just bragged about how he knew this pizzeria was a trap, given that there were fire hazard signs all over the place. After that, he started trying to workshop new names for himself.
Goof trap, no. Salvage, maybe. Scrap trap. Sounds dumb. Spring scrap. Also dumb. Spring trap 2. Electric boogaloo. Fuck, I don't know. Burn trap. Sounds fucking stupid. Spring Bonnie Man. I could possibly consider that.
Such as Scrap Trap with Michael to no avail. Mike felt betrayed by his father's nonchalance about their grand reunion. So he tased William and threw him into Henry's office to make it his problem. The next day, Scrap Baby
He just decided, like, here, Henry, have your worst enemy, whatever, lol.
finally arrived at the pizzeria, having done just about everything on her bucket list, from becoming Utah's roller skating.
See, circus baby, killed Danny. Oops, it was my boss mommy around. Punched Henry in the face. I'll do it later. Roller skate, inspire. Fashion scene, kill capitalist pigs. Base.
Inspiring an entire fashion craze. She decided that the most reasonable next step was to start murdering people with a giant claw. She had already visited once before to assassinate one of the
Taco, no!
previous managers, so she figured this would
The sound effect of Daka just screaming no
would be a piece of cake. To her disappointment, Michael was prepared for this and signed a restraining order on her.
This is restraining order here by Princess and the individual known as Kirkus Baby, otherwise also. Oh, Jesus, that fucking.
Pudgy.
Elizabeth's after that of you. Just threatening me, so.
Since she already came all this way, though, she just wandered into the ventilation system to try and convince herself that
Because of some.
I love these pictures.
this entire pizzeria was actually a gift for her.
That's the only
At this point, William finally regained consciousness and immediately tried to attack Henry. Henry, without a care in the world, just threatened William with a lighter and told him
burn your pants again. Also, hey, wanna create a robot to catch that fucking puppet thing?
about his newest creation. After having it on his to-do list for decades, he finally created a beautiful animatronic named Lefty. Not only that, it actually managed to capture the puppet. Unfortunately, Henry only found out the puppet was his daughter
That thing was actually my daughter.
after he trapped her inside a plastic bear, and he didn't really know how to let her out.
I was even going to sell it to your son for $5, but Michael wound up salvaging it. I may or may not be down $5,000 instead.
You gave him $5,000?
Yes. Now I'm bankrupt again.
Enraged that Michael robbed him of the chance to finally get his $5 back, William scrambled into the vents to try and assassinate his son. Mike was an expert at keeping everyone at bay, though, and after a few more days of unmatched success with his
fucking pickles!
I saw a theory about the pickles, but I don't remember it, but it's really wild.
pizzeria, he had reached the most important day of his career. This, however, is when Scrap Baby decided to gloat about being stuck there. She was really desperate to justify any reason for staying this long, so she just tried pushing the narrative that William set this place up for her so she could kill children and make him proud. Nobody believed her, seeing as William was right there with no stake in this other than getting
Fuck, I didn't do any of that, what the fuck?
his money.
Aww.
Tired of listening to Baby ramble,
Okay.
Henry interrupted her and finally delivered a speech he had been rehearsing for the past month or so. Although he mostly just made guesses about everyone's motivations for being there, all the animatronics were impressed by his performance. So much so that they didn't even notice that the building was on fire. Michael, only paying attention when Henry mentioned an exit planned for him, immediately rushed out of there before the fire could kill him. The smoke did get to him a little bit though, and he wound up coughing up some stray remnant. Hopefully he didn't need that. The others, however, weren't so lucky. Soon, each and every one of the animatronics were destroyed as the building was engulfed in flames. With that, Henry finally ended the horrific legacy of Fazbear Entertainment. Just kidding. After the smoke cleared, everyone in Hurricane arrived at the ruins of the pizzeria to see what had happened, while random civilians took off with the remaining
I'm gonna take this little guy.
animatronics and
that's
beings
awesome.
that survived the fire. A rescue team discovered a body in the ventilation system and rushed it to the hospital. Not really questioning why this clearly charred corpse was wearing a rabbit suit, the doctor accepted it as a patient and diagnosed it with a coma. While the hospital searched for anyone that actually knew who this was, a single visitor showed up that they just kind of assumed was a relative. Golden Freddy. When they arrived at the patient's bedside, they immediately knew it was William Afton and plunged into his mind to cause some crazy nightmares. William, now dreaming about a character select screen of various animatronics he had some general hand in creating, decided that the best course of action was to fight them all at once in their most deadly state. Unbeknownst to him, of course, this was a setup by Cassidy and Andrew. Andrew never got to take revenge on William like all the other kids did, so he begged Cassidy to drag everyone she knew away from a peaceful afterlife to help torture William in his sleep. The most insidious part of this plan, however, was taking the newest iteration of Foxy they could find, and making him William's only ally in this nightmare. Eventually, William was conditioned to finally appreciate Foxy's existence, which was the most severe punishment the Golden Duo could imagine for him. After getting the satisfaction of killing William over and over again, Andrew started getting a bit full of himself and started taking credit for all of the work Cassidy had put in. Not only that, but he got so self-absorbed that he regarded himself as the one you should not have killed. Cassidy wasn't having any of that, so after William somehow beat them at their own game, she ditched Andrew and everyone else followed suit. When William awoke, he realized Michael was wheeling him out of the hospital. Excited that he somehow avoided all the possible consequences of his actions, he began to concoct some brand new
I have avoided all the possible consequences of my actions. I have committed mass murder for several years. I have attempted murder several times, and I still got away with it. I died twice, and I'm alive. I am going to do something cool.
Right as Michael shoved him back into the wrecked pizzeria and walked home. Michael had gotten what he needed from his father. In fact, he got everything he needed from just about everyone. Getting to manage a successful Freddy's was one of the best experiences he ever had, and he wasn't satisfied with the place being destroyed after only a week.
Pickles.
He created a new plan, and with everyone out of his way, he bought the rights to the defunct Fazbear Entertainment and began—
Oh, that's fucking... Hold on, that's kind of a hard image there. Just like, have your fucking $5, you... Have some $5, you eggplant fuck.
constructing his new bear-themed empire. With that, we reach the end of this chapter of the timeline. What? Another cliffhanger? Yes, yes. There's still much to unravel, and I must vanish again to make preparations. We're approaching the end, don't you worry.
We're only halfway done.
Just hope that Ferdinand doesn't tamper with anything. That'd certainly be inconvenient. Speaking of which, he must have left while we weren't looking. Oh well, it'll be fine. Alright, goodbye. Until next time.
Yeah, he coughed up a little bit of a remnant during the smoke stuff, and yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I do like the idea that he, instead of being this malevolent, like,
I'm here to fix all of the crimes that happened.
Instead, he's just like,
what if I'm just want to do capitalism?
At Spectrum, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between speed, reliability, and value.
Long time no see. Are you ready to continue? What are you doing? Some light reading. Don't spoil yourself. Allow me to do the hard work for you, and continue the most undeniably canon FNAF timeline you'll ever hear. William Afton, after a long day's work and a 5-minute murder spree, decided to head back out to the dining area of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and stand around like nothing happened. However, the entire restaurant was in a panic, as one of the customers caught sight of Henry doing that blank stare thing again. William decided this was the perfect time to finally confront Henry about the $5 he was owed, but out of the corner of his eye he saw a suspicious boy jump out of the ball pit. William had seen this kid before, socializing with some regulars in recent weeks. He wasn't typically one to speculate what the patrons were up to, but he strongly felt something was up with this boy in particular, so he decided to traumatize him for kicks and giggles. William lured the child to the safe room and graced him with the sight of all the freshly stuffed missing children.
Child? Dead people!
The kid, being reasonably horrified at this, made a mad dash back to the ball pit as William chased after him. Once he dove back in, though, William decided it wasn't worth the trouble of going any further. That ball pit was not pleasant, so William was just about ready to forfeit the chase, until the ball pit lit up. William realized there was something much more mysterious about this than meets the eye, so he decided to come back to it after making some preparations. The next morning, he got dressed for a potential vacation destination, staged a photo shoot to let Henry have a vague idea of where he was, and donned the spring Bonnie suit before plunging into the pit.
Take a little side quest first. Oh. Lol. Party bitches.
The year is 2023. Oswald, a boy that had taken advantage of a time-traveling ball pit in a shady pizzeria named Jeff's for the past few weeks, suddenly emerged from it in a panic to be greeted by his confused and upset father. Before his dad could give him a stern talking to, though, William Afton caught him by surprise and dragged him down the depths of the dingy pit to get himself out. William was taken aback at how easily he caught up to Oswald, but figured there must have been some inexplicable time dilation that made things more convenient. With all that settled, William took Oswald out of the pizzeria, discovered what a GPS was, and took the boy home.
Cool.
Although he was fascinated by his surroundings, he couldn't fully take it all in. He was too focused on the bit. Once they arrived at the house, he sneakily bribed Oswald's mother to play along
play along with this shit, don't worry about it.
With this until further notice. After Oswald fell asleep, William decided he felt like snooping in his belongings for the heck of it. After sifting through pages of one of the boys' notebooks, he found drawings of the old Freddy's mascots accompanied by various attempts at characters he didn't recognize. William's curiosity of what this was supposed to look like was enough to inspire him. So, he grabbed some spare junk from the garage and began working on a new animatronic to see what would happen. Overnight, William's mess of parts somehow turned into a fully polished masterpiece. However, upon seeing he had created nothing but a conventionally attractive female character, William immediately lost it.
Oh shit, I accidentally created a haunted woman. Fuck. That's not interesting. I need something cool, like a bunny.
Interest. So, he threw her in the trash before going to sleep. The next day, Oswald decided to rescue his father before it was too late. Although William tried his best to stop the boy, Oswald managed to knock him back. William, disoriented, clumsily stumbled into a net and hung himself before Oswald and his dad safely escaped. Fortunately, poor structural integrity came to the suffocating William's rescue. The ball pit's net snapped, launched William down and out the ball pit, and he skyrocketed back into the Freddy's parking lot in 1985 as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, in 2023,
that fucking happened.
Local entrepreneur Michael Afton finally organized all of his plans for the revival of Fazbear Entertainment. He wasn't quite at the point he was hoping for, though, thanks to Hurricane City Council catching that all of his documents showing their approval for different projects had forged signatures.
You forged the signatures with fucking crayon.
Normally, they'd let this kind of thing slide, but they all had unanimous beef with Freddy's, and seemingly had a means to shut Michael's plans down. Upon the discovery of training tapes at the wreckage of its most recent disaster, it was made apparent that the company was meant to be finished off for good. Knowing his good looks couldn't get him out of this one, Michael thought of a more practical solution to this problem. So, he quickly tampered with the tapes while nobody was looking.
Pardon me, but if you wouldn't mind re-watching this tape, I do believe you'll find yourselves to be mistaken about the state of the company.
There is need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is a corporate entity.
The city council's hands were tied by this indisputable evidence, and they begrudgingly allowed Michael to continue his business ventures, as long as he didn't immediately build a giant building over half the town. So, with that, Michael decided to buy out Jeff's Pizzeria, since it was just a crudely repurposed Freddy.
He just killed Jeff, holy shit!
Location anyway. Using blueprints left in the office, Mike made near-perfect recreations of the classic animatronics. Wow. Everything was looking up for Michael, and his efforts rewarded him with massive success. Hearing the cacophony of customers at Freddy's every day made Mike confident in the pizzeria, and now he wanted to pursue a more personal project. After scouting out local scientists, he kidnapped Phineas Taggart to assist him in a new product
Among Us
for Fazbear Entertainment.
Anyway.
Michael described his vision to Taggart.
Hang in there, don't reference that, no.
A marvelous substance that could violently clone and replace anyone it touched. When questioned why he wanted to create such a thing, Michael simply brushed it off as necessary trauma, much like what he had to go through to become a successful entrepreneur.
Okay, but why do we need to make Fazgoo specifically?
It will build character.
Taggart was somehow satisfied with this answer, and after 26.5 minutes, he had developed the first ever sample of Fazgoo. Michael was ecstatic at the sight of this creation, but he needed to be sure it worked. Before he could dismiss Taggart, though, the scientist begged him for payment. Mike did not want to give actual money to this guy, so he just tossed him a robot dog and kicked him out. Meanwhile, the rejected animatronic from William Afton's vacation had been hauled to the dump. After a while, a stray soul discovered it and decided to call it home. This turned out to be William's ex-wife, Eleanor Schmidt, who had been kicked out of Molten Freddy during Henry Emley's final blaze of glory. The children inhabiting the animatronic mass voted that Eleanor didn't deserve to move on with them, so they quickly ejected her so she'd be stuck in this plane of existence indefinitely. After recollecting herself after all this time spent sitting in the backseat of Ennard, she gathered that this animatronic had no discernible characterization prior to her possession. So, having the full jurisdiction to present as any name she pleased, she decided to just go by Eleanor. While adjusting to her new body, Eleanor realized that her dress had a feature she only thought was possible in her wildest dreams. It had pockets! She needed to make use of these immediately, so she quickly looked around the junkyard for something worthy to put inside them. Her eyes were drawn to a pile of strange discs within the trunk of an old car, so Eleanor went ahead and grabbed them. Upon taking them, however, the sound waves these discs emitted granted her with cosmic power beyond her human understanding. Eleanor,
How does this shit keep happening? We're like, just... whatever.
realizing she could do anything she desired, immediately teleported to her old accounting firm expecting to get right back to work. Her old boss was bewildered at the sight of her again and grimly told her she was laid off and replaced 38 years prior. She did not take this news well.
Dude, you disappeared like 38 years years ago or some shit. What are we even supposed to say?
Filled with sudden rage, Eleanor killed her former boss and was quickly enamored by the power his agony fueled her with. She became obsessed with feeding on more of this, so she started plotting what to do next.
Oh dear. Why is it that everybody in the fucking Afton bloodline is just like,
I am good at money, and I'm going to make an empire of evil. And I'm also chill with killing people.
seriously, like, the unnamed kid from, like, the first one literally killed 2 people and was like, I don't care.
Holding a grudge against basically any businessman at this point, she targeted every major corporation she could think of, and obliterated all of the people in charge of them. Now filled with triple the infinite power she had already, Eleanor was ready to claim victory as the greatest evil.
You know, that is one of the things that Circus Baby wanted to do.
Destroy capitalism.
The world has ever known. To her surprise, though, basically everyone on Earth that was subjected to these corporations was happy about their immediate quality of life boosts, and Eleanor was hailed as a benevolent revolutionary, siphoning the agony right out of her with their collective joy. Becoming the hero of the working class was not what Eleanor had in mind. Although she kind of enjoyed the respect, that didn't do anything for her newfound hunger.
A-OK Auto, it's that cheap.
And she needed to cause more problems. To avoid repeating the same mistake as before, she decided to keep things local. Drawing inspiration from how her ex-husband managed to discover Remnant, she warped to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to do what William did, but better. However, as she approached the front door, Michael caught sight of her and immediately grew suspicious.
Who are you, and what are you doing here?
It's me, your mother. No hard feelings about the stupid incident, right?
Oh, that's fucking worrying. Yeah. Let's skip the fucking ad, dude. I don't care.
No matter. I'm here to massacre all of your patrons for personal satisfaction.
How predictable.
Wow.
Being called out on the spot like that really got under Eleanor's skin. She would have murdered Michael out of spite in any other circumstance, but given she did owe him after the scooping incident, she let this personal attack slide. Eleanor needed to prove Mike wrong, though, so she decided to pull asinine stunts nobody would ever think to do. After that,
Walmart.
An unlucky child just so happened to pass by Eleanor's line of sight, and Eleanor decided this kid was the perfect first victim to truly test her power. The child, named Sarah, was minding her own business as Eleanor followed her closely. As Sarah approached the suspiciously plot-relevant dump, Eleanor warped to the trunk she found before for the girl to notice her. Sarah was incredibly transfixed with the animatronic's beauty, and excitedly carried her home to use as a display piece or something.
Being carried around. Low.
At night, Eleanor figured
I think this is kind of cute and silly. Also, Squidward. Also, YouTuber.
this would be the perfect time to activate and begin her plan. She promised Sarah that she could make her wildest dream come true, to be beautiful. Sarah, not understanding that she was perfectly fine the way she was, immediately agreed to this proposal. However, Eleanor told her she needed to forever wear her pendant for this to work.
Oh no!
Over the next several days, Sarah was completely transformed. She became much more popular, much more confident in her looks, and much more paranoid that something would go wrong. And go wrong something did. With just one slip on a comically placed banana peel, Eleanor's pendant flew right off of Sarah's neck. To Sarah's terror, Eleanor was actually replacing her body with chunks of scrap metal, and the pendant was all that kept her hollow metallic membrane together. Sarah desperately ran back home to try and beg for Eleanor's help, to which the animatronic welcomed her by shifting into a look-alike of the girl's original body.
Oh no!
Had she survived, Sarah may have gleaned some sort of moral from this whole ordeal, but unfortunately she had completely fallen apart into a miserable pile of scraps. Eleanor retrieved her pendant, now charged with terrible agony once again. With this boost in power, she was ready to take on the entire population of Hurricane in increasingly strange and specific ways. Meanwhile, Phineas Taggart was on a personal hunt for random junk. This particular night led him to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, now in a sinkhole, where William, Afton, and Andrew just
No, a sinkhole. Also, Ted Bear, or whatever his name is. Uno again.
sat around playing Uno. Andrew's anger at William had settled quite a bit. All he had to do was scream into some trash, and soon enough he hadn't a clue why he was mad in the first place. Unfortunately, the trespassing Taggart wound up interrupting their game and slammed his robot dog onto Andrew's speedo, tethering his remnant to the toy's battery. William looked up at the man in mild distress. To avoid being tackled, tased, or anything else, he hastily got up and followed the man wherever he was going. On that note,
Look, just don't fucking tase me or some shit. I'll just do whatever you ask, okay?
Taggart arrived at his lab with his new trinkets, an Andrew-infested fetch, and William Afton. Taggart didn't initially plan on anything special for the junk he was collecting, but finding a stray soul in an animatronic zombie truly motivated him to try and do something spectacular with it all. To his amusement, said zombie was absolutely hideous, and Taggart just had to make William's unsightliness known to him.
Oh, please! How can it look that bad?
Jesus.
Terrified of the sight of his suit being horrendously burnt and broken, William accidentally death stared his reflection and he exploded. Taggart, delighted by the sudden haunted gunk all over his treasures, decided to take advantage of this and mash them all together into a new creation. This new animatronic not only merged the souls of William and Andrew into one body, it also introduced a third spirit into the mix. This was a child named Jake, whose death shockingly had nothing to do with Afton or Freddy's. With his good temperament,
Wow. Hi, I'm Jake. I died. I'm a random child who died. Why? I don't know. I slipped on a banana peel or something. 5 miles away from a Freddy's. I have literally nothing to do with the Freddy Fazbear's whatsoever. And I am happy about my death, I think. So let's be friends. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know.
compared to the other two, he got to pilot the animatronic, while William and Andrew were stuck being backseat drivers. Taggart was delighted at his living Stitch Wraith, but his joy was short-lived as William convinced Jake to slap the mad scientist. As it turned out, Afton's presence within the animatronic killed Phineas Taggart on the spot. Jake was absolutely horrified about this, but Andrew wasn't particularly bothered about it. After surveying the damage, they deduced that they should just wait for someone else to handle it. So, they sat there and waited until a garbage collector
coats and jackets. Well, that's convenient.
found them. Sure enough, though, the mere touch of the Stitch Wraith was all it took to kill this guy, too. Immediately, Jake realized who was responsible for this. William had already been giving off bad vibes, but now he looked blatantly proud of himself. When Jake tried to explain this, though, Andrew came to William's defense.
What's so bad about him? He cheated at Uno once.
He literally killed 2 people just now!
Lies and slander.
No, I did do that. As a matter of fact, I killed you too.
I think I'd remember being murdered.
This guy, oh my god, Andrew really just is like, nah, you didn't kill me. I don't care about your admission, blatant admission to killing me.
Jake needed to solve this fast. After some internal bickering, he learned about Andrew screaming into stuff to release his rage. With that information, Jake reasoned that putting those pieces back together could potentially refresh Andrew's memory. He'd remember why William was a problem, and they could
I see. Oh, so yelling at a random piece of trash did that.
finally get rid of the purple parasite. After a few weeks of running around on a garbage hunt, and with only a few extra casualties, the Stitch Wraith headed to an abandoned factory to use its trash compactor on its collection. Suddenly, intruding on the scene was Detective Everett Larson, who had been tracking down the Stitch Wraith this entire time to try and cope with his divorce or something. As Larson prepared to shoot it,
Divorced, and now I'm an investigator. I'm here to do this shit. Also, my son's name is Jason, and he's dead.
down, Jake suddenly caught notice of him and backflipped into the trash compactor in an act of defiance. As the Stitch Wraith crumpled together with all the junk, Andrew finally remembered what he was so angry at William Afton about. He was just about ready to throw hands with his killer once more, but he quickly gathered he may have been out of his league. After the Stitch Wraith flipped into the trash heap, William's soul transferred to the garbage and began forging it all together into a new body. After causing a chain reaction with the old machinery, William blew up the factory and used its debris to his advantage, growing into a 15-foot-tall monstrosity.
I care not for weird book shit.
So, making the decision to cut his losses, Andrew quietly made a run for it while he still could. Larson, shocked at how dramatically the situation escalated, spent this valuable time throwing insults at the giant trash rabbit. William wasn't fazed by this, though, and simply proclaimed,
Cool.
Did somebody say agony?
Eleanor was there too.
Oh god, my fucking wife! My bitch ex-wife is here. Can't you let me be a 50-foot tall bunny man?
Apparently. After learning of the Afton amalgamation's existence, she quickly launched herself into it to try and absorb its power. This caused Afton to become far more violent, and Larson was nearly killed by the amalgamation. Before it could finish him off, though, he began hearing a voice coming from his bag. It was the mask of the puppet, or at least his delirious mind figured it must have been. Nonetheless, he tossed it at Afton's shins, and the impact caused him to fall apart like a house of cards. As Afton sank into the lake near the wreckage, he noticed Eleanor escaping his collapsing body, and he recognized her instantly. Not only was she his abandoned creation from his time travel vacation, he felt the spite emanating from her, and knew it could be only one person. The woman who he once probably loved, then definitely hated, had managed to become far more than he ever was. And so, he looked at her in bittersweet longing before everything faded to black. William Afton.
That is kind of like, yeah, wow. That does sound like an actually kind of neat ending.
Was dead. Now that the amalgamation was destroyed, the Stitch Wraith ran to Larson's aid. Jake was all on his own now, and he wasn't going to let anyone else die. So, he whacked the detective with his battery, and that got rid of the lingering agony left behind by Afton. Now that Larson was a little less half-dead than before, he immediately tried to fight Eleanor. She wasn't impressed by his endeavor, and she dragged him into a highlight reel inside her mind.
Your investigations, your hunt for the Stitch Wraith, your failed marriage. Who do you think was behind it all?
Oh no!
Bad luck, I guess.
Oh, I thought I was being more obvious.
Yippee!
Sorry. Anyway, it was me all along. You didn't know it, Larson, but I was always there.
Really? Wow, she really just said, I'm just gonna fucking, like, terrify this guy for, like, ever and stuff. She did the low tier god thing. I was the divorce lawyer, lol. Oh god.
Larson, horrified by the truth revealed to him by this master of disguise, immediately shot Eleanor 4 times in a row. This managed to disorient her enough to warp to another memory, where Larson then grabbed a baseball bat and bashed her head off. This went on in a loop for a while, weakening Eleanor but also not accomplishing too much otherwise. From an outsider's perspective, Larson and Eleanor just stayed in one place silently. The Stitch Wraith was bored of waiting, so Jake decided to see what would happen if he tried to interact with Eleanor without Afton infecting his touch. This allowed the Stitch Wraith to peer into her memories, while Larson and Eleanor were still having their grand battle. Jake discovered Eleanor's worst memory.
I heard Billy D. Williams was in this one. Oops. Spoilers.
Confused by what the problem here was, but nonetheless undeterred, the Stitch Wraith grabbed Eleanor and launched her into the memory to be stuck forever. Now that Jake had saved the planet from Eleanor's wrath, he felt fulfilled in his purpose. With that, he moved on from this world, and the Stitch Wraith was no more. Larson, now sitting alone in the wreckage of a factory with 2 lifeless animatronics in front of him,
They're both doing the fucking... Oh, Lord.
deliberated what to do now. He knew this was going to cause a big stink for the police department if he didn't have a believable explanation on hand. So he just tossed Eleanor and the Stitch Wraith's bodies into the ball pit at Freddy's and blamed their hijinks on Fazbear Entertainment. Michael Afton, now facing immense backlash for reviving the company, had to figure out a way to save its reputation before it collapsed all over again.
Oh.
He checked his plans for anything
He's like, I swear to God, I had nothing to do with this.
that could help him, and to his relief, there was a perfect solution. All Mike had to do was cover up these allegations by touting them as fictional events from a video game series. After interrogating his board of directors to see if any of them knew how to make a game, one of them spoke up and said they knew of someone that could.
Oh,
This
wow, she's cute. Damn.
led Michael to a failed indie developer with a desolate hope for success, Steve Snodgrass. Steve's only claim to
Hatsune Miku!
fame was a critically panned promotional title for El Chips, but Mike could feel the potential oozing from this creator. Steve just needed a spark, and Michael gave him lightning. Steve, ecstatic at the opportunity to make appropriate use of his uncanny modeling style, quickly whipped up a game called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Wumbo energy. My idea is, what if Purple Guy had multiple different spirits that confuse people for no reason? Bonnie has magical powers and can float. Golden Freddy is a time traveler, finds the clocks. Ultimate Cupcake Night.
Dude. I like this. It's funny.
It was pretty simple, but Michael thought it was a perfect starting point. After Steve posted this game under the guise that it was totally unauthorized, it immediately skyrocketed in popularity. People were playing it left and right, and most importantly, those curious about the game's hidden lore started to confuse historical fact from modern fiction. Michael needed Steve to make a sequel, fast. Steve then churned out 2 more in only a couple days to resounding success. Mike realized quickly, though, that these games weren't actually helping with the current controversy the company was facing. Whatever skeletons were once in Henry's closet were of no concern to him, so Mike decided to assassinate Steve Snodgrass and cover up his death with a fan-made spin-off title.
Oh no!
With that taken care of, Mike quickly
That's a reference.
commissioned an anthology book series to spoof recent incidents with Eleanor and the Stitch Wraith. Despite the fact everyone knew about these public menaces, the prospect of reading about them made the public immediately stop caring. All Michael needed to
That is funny as shit.
do now was to tie it all back together by framing Steve Snodgrass as some random lunatic.
Gatsune Miku. Also, oh god, the references. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Ugh, Jesus.
Trying to deface his brand. So, he commissioned a studio called Silver Parasol to make a virtual reality game that cemented all of the rumors of Fazbear Entertainment as nothing more than fiction. Development was pretty standard, all things considered. The studio focused on remaking all 3 of the original FNAF games in VR.
Nerf Music Box. What were they thinking? Base Springtrap off of that action figure. No Wizards. They scare Dale. Let's make coffee in FNAF 3 Snooze Fest.
And then, Michael personally provided them with scribblings of his own life experiences to use as inspiration for new levels. Alongside this, he also tossed them various circuit boards, notably from Scraptrap and some old endoskeleton hardware. He told the developers that it helped make the characters perform in Pathfind or authentically in-game, to which everyone collectively told him that's not how it works. After some gentle negotiation, Michael convinced the team to scan the circuit boards anyway. This didn't seem to really accomplish anything initially, but soon something awakened within the VR game that nobody yet knew about. William Afton, against all odds, came back from complete eradication again due to lingering remnant on Scraptrap circuit boards possessing a program called Mimic 1. Observing the virtual space around him, William started digging through files to obtain a more tangible form.
I have no idea what that thing is.
To his disappointment, he wasn't all too pleased with any of the Spring Bonnie or Springtrap
References.
models available to him.
When playing games on PC, do you ever wonder if someone had a clip with
Shut up. I do not care.
Of 3D modeling software to manifest a digital recreation of his wonderful pajamas. To save his new form, he overwrote an unused Springtrap model named Glitchtrap and decided that worked perfectly for his new environment. He was considering
Malhair is a better name.
the name Malhair, but he had no idea how to rename the files, so he just settled with what he had. As production continued and beta tests began,
They're just like, fuck this guy, fuck our boss, he sucks.
Glitchtrap encountered Jeremy Fitzgerald II, the security guard Balloon Boy chewed on once. Now working as a QA tester, Jeremy tried to write off Glitchtrap as nothing more than a bug. As time went on though, he wound up being captivated by the virtual rabbit rattling off nitpicks about the game's character models and level maps. Jeremy agreed that this was a problem, and he promised Glitchtrap that he'd set things right and make the VR game as accurate as he could. The other
He got jump scared by his own fucking creations.
developers, however,
I mean, I didn't. Why would I be afraid of things? Why would I not be afraid of it? I mean, like, I just murdered kids. I don't know anything about horror. I didn't make any horror games.
Felt insulted by the sudden onslaught of criticism Jeremy provided. None of it seemed rational or helpful, so they all conspired to get rid of him. After finding a guillotine paper cutter, the Silver Parasol development team cut off Jeremy's face and made it look like he did it in a fit of hysteria. Jeremy didn't really appreciate this.
Damn. Dude, just kill them.
So he finally quit his job as a QA tester and sued Silver Parasol for cutting off his face. With his position now open, a successor dubiously named Tape Girl took his place. Yippee! Tape Girl, much like Jeremy, was also unusually intertwined with the history of Fazbear Entertainment. Her brother, Foam Dude, had sucked her into a passionate interest in the company while he constructed Fazbear's Fright. Now that he had gone missing, she decided to pick up his slack and participate in the company's current renaissance. Glitchtrap, upon seeing Tape Girl, recognized her as one of Phone Guy's children and reasoned that she wasn't to be trusted. He had been burned by both her father and brother already, and he wasn't going to let that happen again. So Glitchtrap went out of his way to freak her out as much as possible while she tried to beta test the game. Becoming terrified of this anomaly, and discovering that Silver Parasol was shutting down due to Jeremy's lawsuit, she hastily began to record audio logs documenting Glitchtrap's presence and other details that could help whatever QA tester replaced her. As she continued attempting to delete the anomaly from the game, Glitchtrap devised a plan to attach himself to her virtual tapes in order to prevent her from killing him. By the time she figured this out, it was too late. So she hid the audio files across the game as well as she could before development was switched over. Glitchtrap wasn't going to let Tape Girl go that easy though, so on her last day on the job, he created a brand new level meant just for her. As Tape Girl followed his bunny trail, she soon realized that he was the one responsible for the murders that plagued Freddy's all along. Feeling more and more tangled within the virtual reality, Tape Girl soon found herself trapped within the suit of Freddy Fazbear as Glitchtrap celebrated her digital demise. Now that Silver Parasol was no longer developing the Fazbear virtual experience, Michael wiped all known traces
Damn, he did it again.
of the company and its employees from existence. The replacement studio was run directly by Fazbear
This is a reference.
Entertainment, and they sent out some help wanted ads to get fresh beta testers. Soon enough, a new hire caught wind of the job opportunity and applied as soon as possible. This applicant was a passionate Five Nights at
It is her, the white woman. And to solidify that she is the white woman, they made her white.
Freddy's fan named Vanessa Shelley. Vanessa was extremely excited to get the chance to test a brand new FNAF game. She wasn't confident that the new studio would uphold the franchise's integrity from the Snodgrass trilogy, but she chose to be optimistic. After putting on the
White woman. What the fuck? Didn't see that. What? White. What the fuck? Okay.
White woman.
headset for the first time, Vanessa excitedly combed through the entire game with almost nothing but enthusiasm.
Wow.
Experiencing her favorite series in total immersion was a feeling like no other, and she was having a blast. She was a little disappointed that most of the lore elements were seemingly gutted here, but that was a small
Yo, where the fuck is Golden Freddy? And yo, it's a fucking mingle.
price to pay compared to everything else. As she continued, though, she noticed some strange glitches throughout the various levels. Maybe this was some kind of new storyline she was unraveling. After discovering a hidden area within the game, Vanessa was able to piece together Tape Girl's recordings and discover the truth. To her horror, this wasn't just new lore, this was real. Upon this realization, Vanessa felt a shiver down her spine as she turned around to see a certain someone behind her.
Oh no! That's kind of bad.
Shake it, girly pop! What? Do you not like the voice?
Is this better?
British!
After
That's fucking good. Also, no mimic.
Vanessa took a short break to recover from that scare. She hesitantly put her headset back on and continued testing the game. As she played, she noticed that Glitch Trap became more tangible as she found more of Tape Girl's messages. Vanessa was uneasy, but she decided that maybe it would be best to actually talk to the anomaly. Glitch Trap stood before her in relative silence, so she took this as a cue to speak. What started with conversation of her experience testing the game led to her entire interpretation of the FNAF timeline, including every ounce of
homosexual, gay, homosexual
external media she was aware of.
And then when Springtrap found him, he did a spot-on impression of the stepdad, and then later stuffed him into an oven in Fazbear Sprites, and I think the actual place burned down, but it didn't in FNAF 3.
Who on earth is handsome?
Glitch Trap
average autistic white woman lesbian activities.
had heard enough. Whatever nonsense Vanessa was recounting was absolutely nothing like what actually happened, so he caught her up to speed on the actual events of his life, from
Is that a fucking meme, dude?
Ferdinand's creation to Afton's amalgamation eradication. Vanessa was over the moon. She never could have anticipated getting such a comprehensive
I love her. She's so yippee.
understanding of all of Freddy's history, and she was shocked at how different the real answers were compared to the storyline the FNAF games portrayed. At this point, she decided she wanted to help Glitch Trap somehow escape the game. So, like any rational person, Vanessa decided to let Glitchtrap merge with her mind. Removing her headset, Vanessa now saw William by her side in the real world.
Hey, sup, man?
No, I think the other voice was better, actually.
You are so picky.
Afton, now inhabiting Vanessa's brain, wasn't keen on being confined in someone else's body again, so he begged her to help him find a new body for himself. After thinking through everything he had told her, Vanessa decided that she'd make her own personalized rabbit suit to keep William quiet while they tried to get him back into a physical form. Because that'd take a while, however, she simply crafted a mask in time for the Halloween festival Freddy's was putting together.
Clorox Sentiva.
White woman, turbo white woman. Pog.
Cherry Blossom.
Well,
Speaking of which, Michael Afton was preparing something big. He had been postponing his plans to make an animatronic father figure long enough, and it was time to finally set things in motion. He needed a perfect vessel though, something his own father created. After some consideration, Michael took a visit to the graveyard and dug up the original Fredbear's body. He was going to revive the animatronic and make him into the perfect Papa Bear. Unsure of how to go about reviving an artificial intelligence, Mike figured that obscene amounts of electricity would do the trick. So he crudely stitched Fredbear back together and ran some tests to try and bring him back to life. And it was a success. Michael had let time slip right past him though. The Fazbear Fall Fest was only in a few days and he had yet to make the perfect attraction for it. All at once, it dawned on him that he could present the revived animatronic as Dreadbear until he could fix him up properly.
It's the fucking Mr. Beast!
Sure enough, this worked perfectly, and at long last, Fredbear was the star of the show for the first time in decades. While attending the festival, Vanessa ruminated on her recent life choices. As she half-heartedly participated in the various attractions, William finally learned that Michael was behind all of this. For the first time in his unnaturally prolonged existence, he finally felt somewhat proud of his son. Before he could stew over this new emotion, though, Vanessa accidentally bumped right into the entrepreneur. Vanessa, utterly embarrassed, began to profusely apologize, to which Mike just blankly stared at her, waiting for her to go away. This led to Vanessa rambling once more about her obsession with his company, only this time she had all of William's knowledge at her disposal. Michael, initially uninterested, was taken aback by Vanessa's inexplicable understanding of Fazbear
How do you know all this information? What the fuck?
Entertainment's history. After evaluating whether or not to dispose of her, he determined she may be useful and gave her a new job with special attention. Vanessa was now part of a security team for a new project Mike was working on, the Fazbear Funtime service. This was a special delivery service where Fazbear Entertainment mass-produced replicas of some of the most iconic characters from the business's legacy and rented them out for criminally high prices. Vanessa was fascinated by this concept, and William realized this would be the perfect way to get a recreation of his favorite fursuit. So, on Vanessa's first day as security, she hacked into the system with her gamer skills and ordered production of Springtrap animatronics. By the time higher-ups noticed something unusual about this, they all shrugged it off since Springtrap was probably profitable enough to rent out. William was thrilled that his body had been perfectly remade, but he got cold feet once he realized Fazbear Entertainment was producing so much of him. He didn't want to just be another Springtrap in the crowd, he wanted to be in the spotlight. Vanessa was confused about him changing his mind though, and they began to bicker about the integrity of a unique Springtrap. Getting fed up with this, Vanessa tried banging her head against one of the replicas to attempt to transfer. This ended up knocking her out, giving William free rein to puppet her body. Knowing this could come in handy for future schemes, he quickly searched how to induce compliance in human subjects to ensure he could do this whenever it benefited him. This, alongside some other concerning web searches, alerted the IT department immediately. Fortunately, the only guy who cared to contact Vanessa about it, Lewis, was more interested in coffee than figuring out why she wanted to
Wow, you buy coffee so good, Lewis. Wow.
chop people in half. By the time Vanessa came to, she didn't have any recollection of the stunts William was pulling, and simply resumed her normal work activity. Anytime William took control again though, Lewis would shoot another email wondering why Vanessa wasn't taking the hint. This led to a lot of one-sided conversation and coffee invitations, but outside of that, the Funtime service was doing great. People were renting animatronics constantly, and the funds gained from this inspired Michael to start offering additional characters and quirky variants of the existing ones. There was only one problem. Aside from the occasional fatality from letting infamously killer animatronics out in public, delivery trucks for both animatronics and pizza started being attacked by bears. To Michael's surprise, bears absolutely adored the taste of pizza and despised Fazbear animatronics. This was all thanks to their overlord, Ferdinand von Bernard.
It seems after driving them away, he seemingly brought them all back And now they're under him.
Though artificial, Ferdinand's cosmic power allowed him to integrate perfectly into bear society. His appearance indicated to bears across the world that he was something special for their kind, and he provided them all with wisdom far beyond their years. The most important thing Ferdinand taught them, however, was to hold a grudge against Fazbear Entertainment. Being left behind and replaced by his creators was one thing, but his arch-nemesis, Michael, becoming CEO of the company was another. Michael was losing at least 5 delivery drivers a day from these bear attacks, and paying off the lawsuits from this was the final straw. So he met with Vanessa in private and brought up her previous security breach on the Fazbear Funtime service. She was immediately terrified that she'd get fired, but on the contrary, Michael explained that he needed her to covertly program an order for war. After further instruction, Vanessa hacked into the Funtime service yet again to order the animatronics to attack all of bearkind. With just a push of a button, the Great Bear War began.
Get the gear that works as hard.
The Great Bear Wars! Oh, that sounds fucking weird. Well, goodbye all bears. Ever.
With Hidden Valley Ranch.
Animatronic and Ursine fiercely clashed against each other within moments. The bears that could react stormed to the front lines wherever they could, and soon 2 allies arrived to join them. It was Trevor the cashier and Harold the janitor, otherwise known as Shadow Freddy and Rick Visvosks. Both of them had just been fired from their former jobs at Freddy's, and Michael had completely gutted their pension. Rick Visvosks tortured one patron for cheating at Pack and Pal, and that managed to cross the line, apparently. Shadow Freddy didn't want to work at Freddy's without his partner, so Mike fired him too just so he couldn't formally quit. With nothing to lose, Shadow Freddy and Rick Visvosks tried to assist the war effort to rebel against
Wickfix. I guess that's, like, technically a...
Michael. Sadly, as Shadow Freddy attempted to conga line a troop of bears to victory, he was obliterated by a barrage of fireworks. As Shadow Freddy's dark remnant scattered across Hurricane, Rick Visvosk's rage grew so powerful that he managed to shut down the Funtime Services servers and end the bloodshed. This was too little too late, sadly, and he set off on a hopeless quest to recollect his partner and bring...
Imagine you're a bear and you just die and suddenly you're in the form. And you're just spontaneously in this form.
him back. Ferdinand, discovering Mike had nearly obliterated his people, knew he had to do something to fix this. After phasing through
need to get back at Mike.
realities to forge the perfect plan, Ferdinand understood what needed to be done. For safekeeping, Ferdinand warped all bears across time and space to a new dimension he called Paradise, and waited for the stars to
Paradise, and for some reason Debbie Derryberry is there.
align in his favor. Now that bears were seemingly extinct, Michael had no real threat to his business.
CEO sacrificed to stop bear invasion. We killed all bears long.
Additionally, his overall corporate success caught the attention of every major company in the country. The power vacuum they all shared from Eleanor's massacre allowed for Mike to buy all of them out for cheap, and Fazbear Entertainment became a mega corporation within the blink of an eye. With this, the stage was finally set for Michael to build the mega pizzaplex of his dreams, and Hurricane City Council couldn't say no this time. Michael was proud of Vanessa for her cooperation, and despite her not really being qualified for any promotion, he ordered his board of directors to transfer her to the head of security at the pizzaplex once construction was complete. It would take time for this project to finish, but Michael was absolutely certain that it'd be nothing short of his magnum opus. For now, he was left to contemplate his two personal projects. Dreadbear had been a great novelty for the Fall Fest,
Fuck yeah, go-karts, yippee.
but his body's disrepair was not sustainable for a long-term business. So, Mike harvested Dreadbear's AI to use within a brand new animatronic, a glam rock reimagining of Freddy Fazbear.
A bear that's created to be very dad-like.
All Mike needed now was to finally use his Fazgoo for its true purpose. With confirmation from shady science teachers across the country that the substance worked, Mike was confident his most unattainable dream would come to fruition. Now, exploring every nook and cranny of Hurricane, he searched for the remnant he had coughed up after the pizza place fire in order to bring his younger brother back. Soon after vaporizing Rick Visvosks with a flashlight, Michael finally found what he was looking for. A chaotic energy emanated from the newest remnant deposit he discovered, and he knew he found him. Capturing the remnant and returning home, Michael guided the child's soul to the Fazgoo and watched as the boy was finally put back together. Now that his brother actually existed again, the fog lifted. After all this time, Michael could finally remember the child's name. Gregory Afton.
Oh. You know, I love that this guy is actually using all the random bullshit to actually make an actually coherent, not really, but still, interesting, you know, story.
Alright, I hope that suffices for now. The finale's rolling in much faster than this one, and I've got to be prepared.
Wait, finale? Is security breach the end?
Yep, nothing else. No secret up my sleeve. It all ends with... you'll see. Catch you next time.
Should I be worried about that?
The mimic!
Alright, chat. As much as I want to do more. Unfortunately, chat, I don't think we can get in that 50-minute video in here, so chat, thank you all for coming, and I appreciate you all watching if you have. And I hope that tomorrow night you'll enjoy watching it and watching the part 4 reaction. And with that, toodles!